Second part. Chapter 21 Luoya, Evolution. Dad has spent a lot of money. Qin Yi looked at the panel of the pirate hat in his hand and couldn't help but sigh. The yellow quality pirate hat is not of ordinary quality. The quality of items from low to high is white, green, blue, yellow, purple, orange. As for what was on the orange, he didn't know. Qin Yi looked at the precious pirate hat in his hand, stood up without hesitation and walked out the door. He opened the door and shouted directly, "Thank you, Dad." "Thank you, Mom." After shouting, Qin Ming's voice came over before he could close the door. "Thank me and get me into a better university." "Dad, don't worry, I'll give you an exam at the Spirit Calling University." I'll wait." Inside the room, Qin Yi looked at the newly summoned Luoya in front of him with a smile, and handed over the pirate hat in his hand. "One Piece, your pirate hat is here." Luoya, who had just been summoned together with Zhuge, looked up after hearing the words coming from Qin Yi in front of him. He looked at the pirate hat in Qin Yi's hand and froze on the spot, his mind going blank. Immediately afterwards, he was so excited that he started dancing, quack. Quack, quack. Qin Yi looked at Luoya, who was so excited that he didn't know what he was talking about. He did not disturb him, but waited for him to calm down before speaking again. "Take it and put it on." "Gah." Luoya nodded vigorously. Then, he took the pirate hat from Qin Yi's hand and put it on his head as if it were a treasure. "Yes, very handsome." Qin Yi looked at Luoya, who was quite handsome, and nodded. "Yeah." Zhuge, who was lying aside watching the show, also affirmed at this time. Quack. Luoya blushed and felt a little embarrassed. Qin Yi looked at Luoya's appearance, then at Zhuge, and said, "Starting tomorrow, our training will enter the next stage." Zhuge, "Yeah." Luoya, "Gah." "Starting from tomorrow, our upgrade focus will shift to One Piece." Qin Yi looked at Zhuge. "You have just evolved, so the chance of triggering the second evolution at level 20 is basically 0, and One Piece has not evolved yet, so we in the remaining time, let the Pirate King reach level 20 and trigger the power of evolution that is likely to appear. Under normal circumstances, if the power of evolution is not triggered at level 10, then the probability of triggering the power of evolution at level 20 will be greatly increased. If it is still not triggered at level 20, then the probability of triggering the power of evolution at level 30 will be higher. Which can basically be achieved. The power of evolution will definitely be triggered. If it has not been triggered at level 30, it will probably not evolve unless there is a chance. The above probabilities are universal for the first time, the second time, the third time, after each evolution. In other words, if Zhuge, who has evolved once, wants to evolve next time, there is a high chance that he will upgrade at level 30, and there is only a small chance that he will upgrade at level 20. Qin Yi looked at the turtles and ducks, who nodded, and continued, "So, in the next time, our first goal is to raise the Pirate King to level 20, and the second goal is to make Zhuge's flame jet skill proficient. Degree, the third goal." After Qin Yi mentioned several goals, he ended the short meeting. May 31st. The day before the college entrance examination. Morning. The students in class 4 of senior high school sat obediently in their seats, staring at the head teacher Yi Qiu, who was standing on the stage. At this time, Yi Qiu was talking about tomorrow's exam. There are 2 types of exams. The first is an exam prepared for spiritual summoners, and the second is an exam prepared for students other than spiritual summoners. Of course, you are a spiritual summoner, but if you don't want to take the first exam or go to Spirit Beast University, you can also choose the second exam. The first type of exam is divided into practical and written examinations. Practical examination accounts for 80% of the total score, and written examination accounts for 20% of the total score. The actual battle is to survive for 3 days on an island full of spiritual beasts and kill the spiritual beasts to gain points. The written test is just a test paper, but the test paper is simpler than the test paper of the second type of examination. The second type of exam is to do test papers. It is purely test papers and there are no other crooked things. Yi Qiu had talked about the exam more than 10 days ago and let them make their own choices. Let me tell you again now, just to let them know that there is an exam tomorrow, so that they can calm down. Remember to gather in the classroom at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yi Qiu looked at the student sitting there with complicated eyes and said, "Get out of class is over." In an instant, the quiet classroom suddenly became noisy with this sound. "Qin Yi, what are you doing this afternoon?" Du Feng asked Qin Yi, who stood up immediately. Qin Yi looked down at Du Feng and responded, "Training." "Still practicing? Why don't you take a break?" Du Feng exclaimed. "Well, I really need to take a break. I will practice less today and practice until 3 p.m. Qin Yi sat down, secretly took out his phone and checked the time, looked at Du Feng and said, "Together?" "No, no." Du Feng shook his head quickly, "I want to take a good rest today. I won't have much time to rest in the next 3 days." Surviving on the island for 3 days was not as comfortable as sleeping at home. Therefore, he wanted to enjoy the last good time before the actual battle. "Yes." Qin Yi nodded slightly, "Then you have a good rest, I'll leave first." With that said, he picked up his satchel, left his seat, and walked towards the door. Du Feng looked at Qin Yi's leaving figure. After a moment of silence, he muttered, "How about I try hard too?" Du Feng thought about it and quickly decided to rest until 2 o'clock today. 3:37 p.m. A certain forest in the Yehai forest was filled with flashes of light. Qin Yi looked at Luoya, who was wrapped in the light and disappeared, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. After several days of hard work, Luoya finally reached level 20 on the eve of the college entrance examination. As expected, he was favored by the power of evolution and began his journey of evolution. Zhuge stared at this scene dumbfounded. "Huh? Is this evolution? This evolution seems a bit cool. Bright. So beautiful. This is evolution." Qin Yi looked at Zhuge beside him and continued, "You evolved like this at that time?" "Yes." Zhuge nodded. After looking at the beautiful light for a few seconds, he looked away from the light and began to look around seriously. As the strongest combat force currently in existence, he must protect his own shit shovel and the evolving brother duck. Qin Yi looked at Zhuge, who was looking around, and smiled happily. Then, he turned to look at the evolving Luoya and said softly, "I wonder if the energy that the Pirate King feeds back to me after evolving will allow me to be promoted to an intermediate spiritual summoner." After saying that, he couldn't help but feel a little expectant in his heart. With Zhuge at level 17 and Luoya at level 20, he felt that after a wave of Luoya's evolved energy, he still had a chance to become an intermediate spiritual summoner in one fell swoop. After all, he is a man with all kinds of talents. Chapter 22 Yehai Port. Unfortunately, the idea is good, but the reality is cruel. The light of Luoya's evolution dissipated, and the instant extra energy in Qin Yi's body did not allow him to successfully rise to the intermediate level of spiritual summoner. He felt the energy in his body and shook his head regretfully. Then, he looked up at Luoya, who was slightly larger than before, wearing a black pirate hat and holding a long knife, and said with a smile, "How do you feel?" "Quack. Very good," Luoya said, twisting into a pose that he thought was very handsome. After twisting the shape, he even shouted to Zhuge, who was looking over, "Ga? How is it?" "Yeah." Zhuge responded with dignity. While they were talking, Qin Yi had already silently checked Luoya's panel. Race, Pirate Duck. Level 20, 1 out of 100. Attribute, Water. Potential, Medium Commander, 21/100. Talent, Plunder, Desperate Situation. Skills, Water Knife, Perfect, 4 out of 100, Water Gun, Mastery, 76 out of 100, Fighting Spirit, Mastery, 88 out of 100, Water Wave Slash, Entry, 0 out of 100, Water Shield, Entry, 0 out of 100, 0 out of 100. Introduction, a middle-aged duck who dreams of becoming the Pirate King. Desperate Situation, Passive Talent, when facing a desperate situation, you can explode with strength far beyond your own. Water Wave Slash, Active Skill, the sword light forms a wave, which can attack all targets it sweeps. Water Shield, Active Skill, the water element condenses into a shield to protect itself and can withstand certain attacks from the enemy. Water Wave Chop, an advanced version of the Water Sword, is okay. Water Shield, not bad, I have defensive skills. Qin Yi turned his attention to the introduction of Desperate Situation, the effect of this talent. I don't know how much strength it will increase. Qin Yi was silent for a moment and said with a smile, it's not bad. Overall, the improvement is quite big. Not to mention the additional talents and skills, the potential of a mid-level commander is already much stronger than that of a low-level commander. As for why Luoya is not a low-level commander after evolving, but a middle-level commander, it is of course thanks to the yellow-quality pirate hat. The pirate hat has a great influence on the evolution of Sailor Duck into Pirate Duck. Not only the Pirate Duck will be affected by the pirate hat, but the Navy Duck, Scout Duck, and Drifter Duck will also be affected by the hat. The higher the quality of the hats, the higher their potential for evolution. This is important information summarized by many necromancers who own Sailor Ducks. After reading Luoya's panel, Qin Yi released his fate to Luoya again. Destiny. Captain Duck, Medium Lord need to own a pirate ship. No more? Qin Yi was stunned for a moment. He blinked, and after seeing that he had read correctly, he silently turned off the panel. It's okay not to look at this panel. Although there is only one evolutionary path officially, he has a destiny, but he doesn't believe that there is really only one path. It seems that it still needs some growth. Qin Yi shook his head, not in a hurry. After all, Luoya is only at level 20, so it's still early for the next stage of evolution. Based on Luoya's current potential, Qin Yi estimated that his next evolution would be at level 40 or 50. Qin Yi checked the time and said to the turtle and duck who were still chatting, let's go home. Luoya, quack. Zhuge, yeah. A turtle and a duck quickly followed Qin Yi in the direction he came from. Although he was going home, when he encountered spiritual beasts on the road, Qin Yi still asked Luoya to test the new skills he had just acquired to improve his proficiency in the new skills. Then, he discovered that the proficiency of Luoya's new skill, Water Wave Slash, improved so fast. In just a few times of use, the proficiency level was improved from beginner to proficient. Qin Yi looked at Luoya who was sheathing his sword and asked, very skilled? Luoya turned his head and responded, quack, quack quack. Well, it's not very different from the water jet placed outside. Hearing this, Qin Yi nodded slightly and said, okay, let's continue. Luoya, gah. Qin Yi didn't think much before he had some clues. Probably after learning one skill, it will be much easier to learn the same type of skill. Of course, the prerequisite for making it much simpler is to be familiar with the same type of skills. If you are not familiar with it, it will not be much simpler. June 1st. School buses drove to the parking lot of Yehai Port. Qin Yi followed his classmates out of the car and came to where Class 4 was gathering. After Yi Qiu finished calling the names, he said, follow me and don't get lost. Teacher Yi, the number of spiritual summoners in your class this year is okay. A man came from the left with his small army. Wang Yan, long time no see. Yi Qiu glanced at the students behind the man and responded with a smile, you are not bad, there are 2 more than last year. We did accept a few good students this year. Wang Yan pointed to the young man beside him and introduced to Yi Qiu, this is Yu Wu, the only intermediate spiritual summoner in our school this year. When Yi Qiu heard this, he immediately looked at the young man standing on the left side of Wang Yan. At the same time, Qin Yi, who was standing behind the 4th team, also looked at Yu Wu curiously. Damn it, he has something. Du Feng's shocked voice sounded in Qin Ye's ears. Qin Yi looked at Yu Wu, who was slightly thinner but had a calm look on his face, frowned and said, doesn't he sleep? Having spent several days hunting spirit beasts in the Dark Night Forest, he knew how difficult it was to become an intermediate spirit summoner in less than a month. Although he is not considered a liver, he still spends an average of 7 hours a day on spiritual beasts. He had been playing the Yehai Forest for almost half a month and spent an average of 7 hours a day on the Yehai Forest, but he still hadn't been promoted to the intermediate level of spiritual summoner. You can imagine how angry those who were promoted to the intermediate level of the spiritual summoner were. Maybe. Du Feng shrugged. So diligent. Qin Yi couldn't help but sigh. On the other side, Yi Qiu said with a smile, yes, we also have one in our class this time. As she said that, she looked at Du Feng under the doubtful eyes of her classmates in class 4. Qin Yi looked at teacher Ye's gaze and was slightly startled. Then, he suddenly turned his head and looked at Du Feng who was standing aside. I accidentally became an intermediate spiritual summoner yesterday afternoon. Du Feng responded awkwardly. He also didn't expect that he would upgrade his little tiger after a little brushing yesterday. Then, he upgraded. Qin Ye's mouth twitched slightly, that's awesome. Du Feng scratched his head and whispered, Lao Yi called me, I'll leave first. Then, under Qin Ye's gaze, he walked towards Yi Qiu. Yi Qiu looked at Du Feng walking towards him and introduced Wang Yan with a smile. Although Wang Yan had a smile on his lips, he was already silent in his heart. The relationship between them is not as friendly as everyone thinks, but rivals and competition. Qin Yi heard that the tone of the two people gradually became uncomfortable, and he couldn't help but shook his head and looked in other directions. He has already seen through everything. Chapter 23 Practical Exam begins. At the night seaport, a small to medium-sized giant ship that can accommodate 10,000 people is like a leaf, swaying in the wind on the sparkling sea. Directly in front of the giant ship, dozens of small teams stood scattered, waiting patiently for a certain moment to arrive. Not long after, a light suddenly shone on the giant wheel, and a huge black eagle spread its wings and flew high, like a bolt of lightning in the darkness, quickly climbed to the top of the giant wheel. The man stood on top of the eagle, overlooking the crowd below who suddenly fell silent. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, good morning everyone. I am the mayor of Yehai City, Yi Shantian. The crowd, which was originally quiet due to the unusual movement just now, instantly exploded under this greeting. Wow! It's the night mayor and his eagle. So handsome. What kind of spiritual beast is this eagle? It's so domineering. Dark Night Water Emperor, the evolved form of Night Sea Eagle. I really want Yi Haiying. If you can get first place in Yehai City, you can choose Yi Haiying. Then you might as well let me die. There's nothing we can do about it. Qin Yi, who was in the fourth team, looked at the man in the sky, and couldn't help but look at Yi Sisi, who was standing in the front left team. Yi Sisi seemed to notice something and looked back, and then she saw Qin Yi's eyes. She frowned slightly and moved her mouth silently. What are you doing? I didn't do anything, I just saw your dad. Qin Yi responded silently. Yi Sisi rolled her eyes, gave Qin Yi the word, go away, and ignored him. What are you looking at? Du Feng looked at Qin Yi. What are you looking at? Qin Yi looked away, looked at Du Feng and asked, by the way, when did you become an intermediate spiritual summoner yesterday? He had wanted to ask this question before, but he had forgotten it while walking. It was about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Du Feng responded with a smile, I was able to be promoted to an intermediate spiritual summoner before the college entrance examination. It's actually thanks to you. What? Qin Yi looked confused. If I hadn't heard that you were going to train yesterday, I wouldn't have gone to train in the afternoon. Du Feng continued, I was planning to train until 2 p.m., but unexpectedly, while I was practicing, my brother who was promoted to its level 25. Then, I will become an intermediate spiritual summoner. Du Feng said, the smile on his face getting brighter. Qin Yi couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth when he looked at Du Feng's appearance. Then, he asked, what level is your second contracted beast? Level 22. Du Feng said, after I evolved my little monkey into a fire fist monkey, I went to practice Brother Tiger, and then it got to level 22 by messing around. Okay. Qin Yi nodded and thought to himself, Du Zi, level 25, an intermediate spiritual summoner who has been promoted to level 22, then I will have to wait until Zhuge reaches level 20 to become an intermediate spiritual summoner. What are you thinking about? Du Feng waved his hand in front of Qin Yi's eyes. Nothing, I was just wondering when I could become an intermediate spiritual summoner. Qin Yi said. When? Du Feng asked. It's coming soon, the day after tomorrow at the latest. Qin Yi said, looking up at the night mayor in the sky, and said, "Stop talking, the night mayor is starting to explain the exam rules." During their chat, Yi Zhantian also finished his nonsense and got to the point. The venue for this practical examination is Yeshao Island, not far from Yehai Port. Yeshao Island is a special island specially created by our Yehai city for the annual college entrance examination. There are nearly 1 million spirit beasts below level 30 living on Yeshao Island. For this college entrance examination, you need to survive on Yeshao Island for 3 days. Yi Zhantian raised 3 fingers. For 3 days. In these 3 days, in addition to surviving, you also need to do your best to kill the spirit beast gets points. The spiritual beasts on Yeshao Island are divided into ordinary spiritual beasts, elite spiritual beasts and special spiritual beasts. Each spirit beast has corresponding points. As for how many points each spirit beast can get, you can use the scorer in your hand to check. Killing ordinary and elite spirit beasts will only get points, but killing special spirit beasts will not only get high points, but also special rewards. As for the rewards, you can check them through the map function on the scoreboard. Of course, the prerequisite for obtaining points and rewards is to ensure your own safety. Although we have an invigilator on Yeshao Island, the invigilator will not always watch you and protect you. 3 days later, that is, before 10 a.m. on June 4th, you need to go to the beach of Yeshao Island to register. As for where to register, you don't have to worry about this. As long as you come to the beach of Yeshao Island, you will see our people and they will take you there then. After Yi Zhantian said a lot, he finally smiled and said, "Okay, without further ado, please board the ship in an orderly manner." As Yi Zhantian's last words fell, the staff on the giant wheel began to ask teachers from each school to lead their students towards the giant wheel in an orderly manner. Half an hour later, the hatch of the giant ship closed and the giant ship began to slowly start. At this moment, a voice sounded in the hall on the giant ship, which could accommodate tens of thousands of people. There are 20 minutes left before the first landing point on Yeshao Island. Candidates who want to land on the island are asked to gather at the door. The landing time is 10 minutes. There are 20 minutes left before the first landing point on Yeshao Island. Candidates who want to land on the island are asked to gather at the door. The landing time is 10 minutes. Qin Yi listened to the radio sound coming from the hall and asked Du Fang, "Are you getting off the boat?" "No." Du Fang said without hesitation, "First, whoever bets is a fool." Every year for the college entrance examination, the first landing point is the place where the largest number of people get off the boat. This phenomenon has been true for many years. Disembarking early does not mean that you can enter Yeshao Island early to gain points. Only when they wait until 10 a.m. will the invigilator allow them to enter Yeshao Island. Therefore, there is not much difference in the time of disembarking sooner or later. Indeed. Qin Yi nodded in agreement, and then asked again, "What is your landing point?" "The 5th one." Du Fang looked at Qin Yi curiously, "What's your number?" "The 7th one, I like 7. Qin Yi smiled. There are 10 landing sites in Yeshao Island. The 7th one is not bad, there are fewer people there. It's good to have less. Then no one will compete with me for spiritual beasts. That's true. Du Fang pondered for a moment, then I will be the 3rd one, and the 5th one is a bit too many. 3 is indeed less than 5. Qin Yi said, "Come on." Generally, the spots with the most people disembarking are 5 and 10 except for 1. 1, 5 and 10 are recognized as the points with the largest number of people disembarking. Hee, of course. Du Fang smiled. As time passed, after Du Fang heard the notification, he said to Qin Yi, "Let's go." Qin Yi nodded with a smile, "Come on. Come on." Du Fang waved his hand and left the team. Not far from Team 4, Yi Sisi saw Du Fang leaving and walked towards Qin Yi. "Why don't you go down with him? I'm going to hit you 7th. Qin Yi looked at Yi Sisi, "What's your next hit?" "The 6th one." Yi Sisi responded. "Then the chance of us meeting is quite high," Qin Yi said with a smile. Yi Sisi smiled and clenched her fists, twirling them in front of Qin Yi. "Then you must be prepared to run away if you encounter me." don't be eliminated by me. Qin Yi raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said in a calm tone, "Are you willing to do it?" "Humph, why are you reluctant to part with it?" Yi Cixi tilted her head and looked towards the top of the boat. The corners of Qin Ye's mouth raised slightly. "Then I want to see how you are going to eliminate me." Yi Cixi glared at him and turned her fist again. "Just wait for me." "I'll wait." Qin Yi nodded vigorously. Yeshao Island, landing point number 7. Qin Yi left the giant wheel with the flow of people and came to Yeshao Island. Qin Yi glanced at it and made a visual inspection. There were probably less than 300 people disembarking with him. According to Teacher Yi, nearly 5,000 people attended this practical exam. There are nearly 5,000 people. If we count 5,000 people, it means that on average it takes 500 people to finish a point. There are an average of 500 people at a point, but they only have less than 300 people at this point. You can imagine how many people are at points 1, 5, and 10. Qin Yi looked at the bright sun in the sky and couldn't help but wipe the sweat from his forehead. "It's so hot today." Qin Yi muttered quietly and continued walking forward. Qin Yi was blowing the sea breeze, looking at the temporary tents and countless staff around him, and silently took out an item similar to a mobile phone from his left trouser pocket. This mobile phone-like object is what the Night Mayor calls a scorer. At the same time, this is also the only thing he, she, and they have on them. Except for scorers, no other items are allowed in the practical examination. During the actual examination, if you are found to be carrying other items, you will be punished. In serious cases, your actual examination results may even be cancelled. Therefore, in order to avoid this situation from happening, they were checked by Teacher Yi before they came. Of course, those candidates who have not been inspected can now store their belongings in the beachside storage area. Qin Yi looked at the candidates walking towards the storage area, picked up the scoring device and fumbled around. When you open the scorer, the first thing you see is the current time. 9:35, still 25 minutes before the actual battle begins. So early. Qin Yi muttered, and as time passed, 4 options appeared in front of him: help, points, ranking, and map. SOS is to send a SOS signal to the surrounding proctors to request rescue. Clicking on this function and using this function means that your practical exam journey is officially over. Points is to check how many points you have obtained so far. As for how the points are calculated and how they know that you have killed the spiritual beast, this is not something that a little person like him can know. He only knew that this scorer had a lot of black technology. Ranking means you can check the points you have obtained so far, and how you can rank among all the candidates taking the practical exam in Yehai City, so that you know what you are doing and you have reached the point where you will not relax. Map is the map. In addition to showing where you are, the elite spirit beasts and special spirit beasts on Yeshao Island will also be displayed on the map. Of course, the display will only show those around him and those far away from him, and will not be displayed on his map. To put it simply, this map has a radar function. When elite spirit beasts and special spirit beasts come into the range of the radar, a reminder will be issued, allowing you to think for yourself whether to leave or face difficulties. Qin Yi clicked on the map and was stunned for a moment when he looked at the flashing portrait on the map. Then, he couldn't help but curiously click on the portrait with a small treasure box on the upper right. Race, Storm Wolf, Special Spiritual Beast. Level 21. Attribute, Wind. Potential, Low-Level Commander. Reward, the person who kills can get a wind grass or the points for killing the spirit beast multiplied by 2. Introduction, the leader of the wolf pack. There are at least 2 elite-level spiritual beasts and 10 ordinary-level spiritual beasts around him. If you want to try to kill, please think carefully before taking action. Have you encountered a special spiritual beast? Qin Yi was startled, feeling a little unbelievable. Special spirit beasts are actually spirit beasts for which bounties are placed. Killing such spirit beasts will result in corresponding rewards. If you don't want rewards, you can indeed redeem points, but the points are far inferior to the rewards. Therefore, under normal circumstances, there will be no candidate points. Unless they are the kind of people who can get into the top 100 or top 10 with just a few points at the end, it is possible for those people to exchange the rewards into points. Apart from that kind of people, Qin couldn't think of anyone who would redeem points. This avatar is at the edge of the radar, which is 5 kilometers away. After Qin silently noted the location of the avatar, he turned off the map function, put the scorer in his pocket, and started wandering around. Not long after, a voice sounded at landing point number 7. There are still 5 minutes until 10 o'clock. Now let me tell you some things to note about getting points. At the beginning of the actual battle, there is no point reward for killing spirit beasts below level 10, so please be merciful and kill less spirit beasts below level 10. As the words rang out, the candidates around him couldn't help laughing. They all understood this rule, but they still couldn't help laughing when they heard the words of the mature man. For killing spirit beasts of level 10 and above, ordinary spirit beasts, the points will be multiplied by the level. For spirit beasts marked as elite level by the map, the points will be multiplied by 5, as for special spirit beasts marked by the map, the points will be multiplied by 10. In addition to multiplying your points by 10, you can also get additional rewards. Extra rewards are great, but they are not easy to get, so please think again before taking action. The man standing at the gate of the fence pointed to his left and continued, 4 to 5 kilometers to my left, there is a group of wolves led by the 21st level low-level commander Gale Wolf, who is hunting, so I will take the exam later. After starting, please think carefully before going to the left. But don't be impulsive and walk to the left if you think you're invincible. Don't have a mentality of picking up holes. You think you're unlucky and you can pick up holes. There is 1 minute left before the exam starts. After 1 minute, when you hear the bell ringing, you can rush forward. After the man finished saying this, he stopped talking and walked to the side to get out of the way. When Qin Yi, who was sitting on a stone pier, heard this, he immediately stood up and began to stretch his muscles. At the same time, the drowsy candidates also woke up at this moment and walked forward in high spirits. Ding 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 ding. In 22-24, the practical examination in Yehai City officially begins. All candidates, please pay attention to safety. Boom. As the bells and voices rang, hundreds of candidates on the beach rushed towards Yeshao Island. The smart people summoned their contracted beasts on the spot before moving forward. The reckless people, regardless of what happened, when they heard the bell ringing, they rushed out of the seaside encirclement and rushed into the front. In the woods, the smart ones had summoned the contracted beasts not long ago. The unhurried ones, just like Qin Yi, were watching their performance at the beach. After Qin Yi saw that the people were almost gone, he walked forward slowly. Chapter 24 3 Top Spiritual Beast Universities. Walking into the woods, Qin Yi raised his right hand, and a contract formation quickly formed in front of him. The next second, a man wearing a black pirate hat and holding a long knife appeared in front of him. After coming out, Luoya immediately became alert to his surroundings and was ready for battle at any time. After a while, after Luoya saw that there were no enemies nearby, he put down the long knife in his hand and looked at Qin Yi. Ga. Qin Yi looked at Luoya and said with a smile, "Let's go." "Ga? Where to go?" Luoya asked. Qin Yi pointed in the direction the man pointed just now and responded, "Go over there, there is a pack of wolves over there." Ga. Luoya nodded vigorously, held a long knife in his hand, and walked forward beside Qin Yi. Qin Yi picked up the scorer placed in his trouser pocket, opened the map, and began to observe. He looked at the flashing red dot on the map, and walked in the direction of the red dot with Luoya. The many red dots on the map are the spiritual beasts living around. The map function will only display ordinary spiritual beasts within 500 meters, elite spiritual beasts within 2000 meters, and special spiritual beasts within 5000 meters. Not long after, Qin Yi brought Luoya to the red dot on the map. Qin Yi looked at a few chubby piglets not far away and said, "Grass pigs and their evolved forms, prairie pigs. It seems we won't be hungry at noon." Qin Yi looked at Luoya, "Pirate King, get rid of them quickly." Ga. Luoya waved the long knife in his hand and rushed forward. The next moment, a long knife passed through his hand, and the light of the knife instantly condensed into sharp water waves, sweeping towards 3 fat and tender pigs not far away. The skilled level water wave slash was released by him in an instant. Boom! There was a huge roar, and the 3 fat piglets were directly blown out by this knife, and they died with their eyes open. Qin Yi looked at the miserable condition of the 3 piglets and did not feel a trace of unbearable. Instead, he calmly walked forward and picked up their plump bodies with Luoya. After placing some plump parts in the spirit's summoning space, Qin Yi and Luoya continued on their way. In this battle, Qin Yi gained 15 points. Except for the level 15 prairie pig, the other 2 grass pigs are not at level 10 yet. As the practical exam began, a group of people were sitting in the conference room of the giant ship docked at number 1 of Yeshao Island, paying close attention to various surveillance screens not far away. The contents on these surveillance screens are exactly the scenes on Yeshao Island. There are tens of thousands of cameras on Yeshao Island. Although the number of pictures currently displayed does not reach tens of thousands, every picture in front of you is a picture of a battle. Among these pictures, a huge picture occupying the central position is particularly eye-catching, and its surveillance content is extremely clear. What can be displayed on a huge screen are extremely impactful battle scenes. At this time, the content on the huge screen was the scene of Luoya easily killing the elite spiritual beast Big Bad Wolf. What's this kid's name? There's something about his little duck. A young man asked with his feet up on the table. It's really good to be able to master water wave slash as soon as you evolve into a pirate duck. The old man not far away said with a smile. His water wave chop is not scary, but his water sword is scary. His water sword is at least perfect proficiency. A woman frowned and asked, is this his first contracted beast? It is rare for a novice spiritual summoner to train the skills of his contracted beast to perfection within a month. No, this is his second contract beast. A voice came from not far away. When everyone heard it, they collectively raised their heads and looked towards the source of the sound. Mayor Yi, do you know this guy? The woman asked in surprise. Yehai number 1 High School, Class 3, 4, Qin Yi. Yi Zhantian smiled and said, his father is Qin Ming. Qin Ming. The man who spoke at the beginning suddenly realized, no wonder he has a pirate duck. He turns out to be Qin Ming's son. Extremely rare spiritual beasts like pirate ducks cannot be seen everywhere. Qin Ming, hey. The old man couldn't help but sigh when he heard Qin Ming, with a trace of regret on his face. Qin Ming was a genius who could definitely become a king-level spiritual summoner back then. Unfortunately, his foundation was damaged in a battle and he stopped being a master-level spiritual summoner. Feeling the sudden silence around her, the woman asked, what was his first contracted beast? Little Rock Turtle. After Yi Zhantian finished speaking, he yawned lazily. What? The woman was stunned, her expression a bit incredulous. Little Rock Turtle. Yi Zhantian continued, don't underestimate his Little Rock Turtle. My daughter said his Little Rock Turtle is amazing. He was also shocked when he learned from his daughter that Qin Yi had contracted Xiaoyan Gui. When the woman heard this, she became silent for a moment. The man, on the other hand, couldn't help but burst out laughing, then I'll take a good look. The 3 people chatting with Yi Zhantian are from the 3 top spirit beast universities in Lingxing, and they are the admissions teachers coming to recruit students from the 3 top spirit beast universities this time. The 3 top universities in Lingxing are universities that are higher than the top 10 higher spiritual beast universities. They are the 3 best spiritual beast universities in Lingxing. The top 10 higher spiritual beast universities are the top 10 famous schools that Yi Qiu mentioned before. The 3 top universities in Lingxing are Summoning University, Yulong University, and Void University. The old man is Zhongnian, an admissions teacher at Hualing University. The young man is Yun Xing, an admissions teacher at Yulong University. The woman is the admissions teacher of Void University, Leng Nian. Noon. After fighting all the way, Qin Yi stopped beside a river. That's it. Qin Yi looked at the surrounding scenery, took out the meat and vegetables he had just collected, and put them on the ground. Immediately afterwards, he shouted to Luoya, Pirate King, wash the meat and I will summon Zhuge. Ga. Luoya quickly came to Qin Yi's side, picked up a big piece of meat and walked towards the river. Yeah. Zhuge, who was summoned, looked around and called out to Qin Yi and Luoya who were standing aside. Zhuge, go chop wood. Qin Yi said to Zhuge, eat more later, you have to work in the afternoon. Yeah. Zhuge nodded vigorously. After Qin Yi planned to finish his meal, he started training Zhuge as the main coach and Luoya as the assistant coach. He didn't practice in the morning because he just came to Yeshao Island and didn't know the surrounding environment yet. Now that he had a preliminary understanding, he naturally wanted to focus on Zhuge and let Zhuge reach level 20 as soon as possible. Zhuge is now the main coach because Zhuge is at a low level. A low level means he can level up quickly. If he levels up quickly, he will gain more energy. As for Luoya, although Luoya upgrades one level, he will gain more energy, but Luoya's level is too high. A high level means that the upgrade is slow. If the upgrade is slow, then he can do it in just 3 days. Can't get many levels up. Therefore, he set his main target on Zhuge's level. Let Zhuge reach level 20 and make himself an intermediate spiritual summoner. This is his current main task. Chapter 25 Gale Wolf Pack. Is Storm Wolf still alive? Qin Yi looked at the image of the Gale Wolf on the scoreboard and silently looked at the 2 wolf heads around it. Looking at a Gale Wolf with a level 20 high-level elite and a level 19 high-level elite, Qin Yi said in surprise, they are both Gale Wolves. He thought that only the leader was the Gale Wolf, and the rest were other wolves, but he didn't expect that there were 2 Gale Wolves. Qin Yi shook his head and looked at the picture on the scorer in his hand. After pondering for a moment, he said, one end is 21, the other is 20, and the other is 19. There should be no problem. As he spoke, he looked at the turtle and duck beside him without hesitation and said, let's go kill the wolf. Zhuge, yeah. Luoya, ga. I didn't go directly before because it was too far. The distance of 5 kilometers would take more than half an hour to walk. In more than half an hour, he was able to kill many spiritual beasts. Therefore, after the actual combat test began, he did not go straight to the special spiritual beast Gale Wolf immediately. Instead, he killed it while walking. While killing the spiritual beast, he also had a meal. As a result, after finishing his meal, he opened the scorer and saw that the Storm Wolf was not dead yet. Since Gale Wolf is not dead yet, he will not be polite. Of course, you're welcome. He still didn't go straight to the Gale Wolf, but continued to kill as he walked. He was not in any hurry towards the Gale Wolf. If there is one, kill it. If there is no one, then there will be no one. In an open grassland, the wolf pack led by the Gale Wolf recently successfully defeated the jungle deer herd led by the forest deer. At this time, they were enjoying their delicious lunch and their trophies. In the woods far away from them, several candidates were standing behind trees everywhere watching this scene. Candidates who came quickly even saw the battle between wolves and deer. A young boy who had just arrived looked at the wolves in the distance, then looked at the people standing behind the trees, and asked, aren't you coming? Come on, go, we'll be back in a moment. A slightly fat young man gave him a strange look. In the distance is not a 21st level low-level commander, the Gale Wolf, but a pack of wolves led by the 21st level low-level commander, the Gale Wolf. In this wolf pack, in addition to the 21st level low-level commander Storm Wolf, there are also 2 high-level elite Storm Wolves, 5 medium elite Storm Wolves, and 10 Wind Wolves with extraordinary potential. A wolf pack, with 18 wolves, is not something that any new spiritual summoner can eat alone at this stage. That's right, you are awesome. Come on, we won't fight with you. The thin man behind another tree looked at the green monkey next to the boy, with a look of disdain on his face. The green wild monkey is the evolved form of the little green monkey. Without the bonus of special items, its potential after evolution is only high-level elites. Although the high-level elites are very strong, they are still not enough in front of a low-level leader and the 7-headed elite potential Gale Wolf pack. Stop bullying him. Xu Yong, who was standing behind the tree, looked at the newcomer whose expression was gradually changing, and continued, find a tree to hide, and then wait for people. If there are more people, we will go up together. Thank you. The young man thanked Xu Yong and walked aside silently with his partner. Not long after he left, a man, a turtle and a duck walked slowly and slowly from the depths of the woods. Everyone heard the news and went away. Looking at such a strange combination, everyone fell silent, and no one asked. Qin Yi, who had been fighting all the way, looked at the gazes coming from around him, frowned his eyebrows, and looked forward. Then, he saw the wolves in the distance that had almost eaten. It seems that I came at just the right time. Qin Yi's eyes lit up and a happy smile appeared on his face. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. The only downside is that there are a lot of people around. Are you ready to go? Wang Gu, the thin man, looked at the duck holding a long knife next to Qin Yi, and his eyes gradually became serious. Pirate duck is the evolved form of sailor duck. After evolution, its lowest potential is the ultimate spiritual beast of a low-level leader. This person is not simple. Wang Gu thought to himself. At this moment, he knew that a terrifying opponent with the best spiritual beast was coming. Qin Yi looked at Wang Gu curiously. Aren't you coming? I want to go, it's morning. Wang Gu rolled his eyes. Yes. Qin Yi nodded slightly and looked at the others. Aren't you going to come? If you don't come, they will leave. Everyone was silent after hearing this. If you don't come, then I will. Qin Yi raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and walked forward with a turtle and a duck. Walking to Su Yong's side, Qin Yi turned around and asked, Aren't you coming? Xu Yong was stunned for a moment and responded, If you go up, I will go up. Okay, then you have to follow me. Qin Yi grinned and continued walking forward with a turtle and a duck. After walking a few meters, Qin Yi stopped, looked at the wolves not far away, and said to a turtle and a duck, Come on, grab as many as you can. Yeah. Zhuge nodded vigorously with serious eyes. Quack. Quack. Luoya excitedly waved the long knife in his hand. The next moment, a turtle and a duck rushed towards the wolves without hesitation. In the rear, after everyone saw Qin Yi actually letting his contracted beasts come up, they could no longer control themselves and rushed forward with their contracted beasts. When their contracted beasts charged, a fort had been set up in the sky above Zhuge, spitting out balls of fire like a fire dragon, and shooting at the surging wolves. Luoya took the lead, waving his long knife, setting off waves of water like a sea god, sweeping towards the wolves. In an instant, the rushing wolves were plunged into dire straits. In an instant, the people running around Qin Yi were also stunned. Wang Gu's eyes were almost shocked and he looked at the fireball that looked like a fort above Zhuge. He looked at the fireball connected to Zhuge in the sky, and then at Zhuge. When he saw that he was right, he shouted in shock, This damn thing is an earth turtle. That's right, the first time he saw Qin Yi, he saw Zhuge beside him. It's just that he didn't care about Zhuge at that time. After all, Zhuge was a spiritual beast that was worse than the green wild monkey in his eyes. As a result, the current scene instantly broke his cognition and made him know for the first time that potential does not mean everything. When they were shocked, many admissions teachers on the giant wheel who were watching this scene fell into silence collectively. What skill is this? Does any of you know what skill this is? I haven't seen it before, but I feel like it's not a skill. This should be a talent. If it wasn't a talent, the earth turtle wouldn't be able to use it so comfortably. No wonder this turtle has flame-throwing skills. Yunqing whispered. He was thinking before when he saw Zhuge releasing flames to kill the spiritual beast. Now after seeing this skill, he understood it instantly. Flame spray should be a skill that this earth turtle has adapted through this unknown flame talent. Chapter 26 Blast Grass. While there was a lot of discussion in the monitoring room, the contract beasts of many candidates on the scene were already fighting with the wind wolves. Among them, there was a fire-pattern butterfly and a snap bear that were extremely ferocious. Their strength was not weaker than that of Zhuge who was releasing the Ligua. It was even a bit stronger than Zhuge if you looked closely. Not long after, the Gale wolf pack was on the verge of collapse under the attack of many contracted beasts. The leader is running away. Don't let it run away. Xu Yong shouted quickly after seeing that the wolf leader was trying to escape. Qin Yi, who was always keeping an eye on the wolf leader, naturally saw this scene. I saw him calmly speaking, Zhuge, release the jet flames, Pirate King, release the water gun. Gah. The next moment, Zhuge opened his mouth and spat out ferocious flames like a fire dragon coming out of the abyss, rushing towards the wolf leader with overwhelming force. Luoya also bulged his cheeks and suddenly spurted out an endless stream of water columns, like a dragon emerging from the sea, as fast as lightning. Attack the wolf leader not far away. Flames and water guns intertwined, and fire and water collided fiercely. This shocking scene once again made everyone who witnessed this scene stunned. At the same time, the wolf leader who had not yet gone far looked at the overwhelming fire and water, with deep despair in his eyes. Just hearing a loud bang, the wolf leader was severely hit by these two powerful forces and fell into a deep and fiery purgatory. It didn't even have time to let out a scream before losing consciousness. Qin Yi felt the sudden energy in his body and looked at the changes in levels on Zhuge's panel. The corners of his mouth could not help but rise slightly. It's level 18, one step closer to level 20. Don't go, it's dead. Qin Yi looked at the contract beast rushing towards the wolf leader, reminded him, and asked Zhuge and Luoya to clean up the mess around them. Everyone around them was silent for a few seconds after hearing that the wolf leader had died. Immediately afterwards, they began to fight for the wind wolves and wind wolves that were not dead around them. Zhuge and Luoya's first wave of attacks were very strong, but not strong enough to directly kill these wind wolves. After all, the Gale Wolf is a wind-attributed spiritual beast, and its evasive ability is still very strong. Except for a few wolves that did not react, the other wolves avoided the first round of attacks by Zhuge and Luoya. Then, those candidates caught up with their contracted beasts. Then, the war was about to break out. Then, it became what it is now. Qin Yi watched them for a few seconds. After seeing Zhuge and Luoya approaching, he took out the scorer, opened the map function, and began to check the nearby elite spirit beasts and special spirit beasts. That's it. Qin Yi looked at a bee-patterned head not far from him, put down the scorer, and walked toward the destination with Zhuge and Luoya. Wang Gu, who was always paying attention to Qin Yi, subconsciously said, "Are you leaving?" Qin Yi turned to look at him, smiled at him, and then continued walking forward. Wang Gu looked at Qin Yi leaving and asked the people around him, "Do any of you know him?" Everyone looked at each other, and just when Wang Gu thought no one knew him, the boy he looked down on before said, "His name is Qin Yi, and he is the only one in our school who has a pirate duck. With pirate ducks so rare, seeing a duck is like seeing a human." "Qin Yi?" Wang Gu muttered and said to the young man, "Thank you. I'm sorry about what happened just now." The young man shook his head and did not continue to speak. When Wang Gu saw this, he didn't say much, but walked towards the opposite direction of Qin Yi with his paw bear. There was definitely no benefit in going with Qin Yi, so he decisively chose another direction. Qin Yi found a quiet place away from the crowd and asked Zhuge to go ahead and practice leveling. He picked up the scorer and checked the points he had just earned. In the battle just now, in addition to successfully killing the level 21 Wolf King, he also killed a level 19 elite wolf, 2 main wolves with medium elite potential, and 4 wind wolves with an average level of only 15. Not all wind wolves can evolve into storm wolves at level 10. When you reach level 10, you only have a chance to evolve, not necessarily. Therefore, in the group of wind wolves just now, there are still a few wind wolves that have reached level 10 or above, but have not evolved. Qin Yi quickly calculated and found that he had gained a total of 380 points in the battle just now. Counting the spiritual beasts he had killed on the road, his points now reached a terrifying number, 1,211 points. His points have successfully exceeded 1,000. Qin Yi looked at the points displayed on the scoreboard and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. Immediately afterwards, he exited the points interface and looked at the backpack option in the middle of the interface. The backpack option is a small circle embedded with the other 4 options. Clicking on the backpack option, he saw the item stored in the backpack, a piece of green grass. Blast grass. Quality, green. Effect, slightly increase one's own speed. The effect of eating wind attribute beasts is better. Special effect, after eating the wind wolf, it can greatly increase the probability of evolving into a Gale Wolf. If the Wind Wolf eats Gale Grass, it will evolve into a Gale Wolf, and the potential of the Gale Wolf will be higher. Clicking on the Blast Grass, Qingyi not only saw the effect of the Blast Grass, but also saw an option to redeem points. This is good stuff. Qingyi's eyes lit up. The special effects on the interface are the effects that are officially summarized after many experiments, rather than the effects seen by using the Spirit Summoning Pupil. Therefore, when Qingyi uses the Soul Calling Pupil on the Wind Grass, he cannot see the special effect, only the normal effect. After seeing the effect, Qingyi closed the interface happily and continued walking forward with Zhuge and Luoya. Monitoring Room. After seeing the end of the battle on Qingyi's side, the invigilators from each school started a heated discussion. This guy is pretty good. We at Ice and Fire University want him. Do you have any objections? Who is this boy you are talking about? Qingyi. Idiot. Who are you scolding? A strong man stood up instantly. Don't talk to idiots. Yunqing said calmly. Does your Yulong University want? The middle-aged man frowned and said, does your Yulong University accept junior spiritual summoners? From the strength Qingyi showed just now, he already knew that Qingyi was not an intermediate spiritual summoner. If Qingyi were an intermediate spiritual summoner, these wolf cubs wouldn't be enough to kill him. It was precisely because he knew that Qingyi was not an intermediate spiritual summoner that he was so confident. After all, the 3 top universities do not accept low-level spiritual summoners, and apart from the 3 top universities, Ice and Fire University and the other 9 famous schools are the strongest. Yunqing looked at him and said, just because it's not happening now, doesn't mean it won't happen later. Huh. The strong man snorted, sat down and said no more. Chapter 27. The college entrance examination is different from previous years. Zhang Meng, as the admissions teacher of the top 10 prestigious Binghua University in Yehai City this time, is not stupid. The series of actions he just made were just to watch the attitudes of the 3 top universities. Now after learning about Yulong University's attitude, he has some confidence in his heart. It's not like they can't recruit Qingyi. At least, Yunqing from Yulong University in Yehai City still adheres to the attitude of not accepting non-intermediate spiritual summoners. After Zhang Meng sat down, he wrote Qingyi's name on the small notebook in front of him. After finishing writing, he thought for a moment and then started writing again. This time, he also wrote Wang Gu's name. While he was writing, others were doing the same thing. The next day. 7 a.m. Qingyi, who had been hiding in the cave for a night, walked out of the cave and yawned lazily. He looked at Zhuge sleeping at the entrance of the cave, squatted down, and gently stroked Zhuge's turtle shell. Thank you for your hard work. Zhuge opened his eyes drowsily, looked at Qingyi in front of him, squinted his eyes and rubbed Qingyi's trousers. Well, not hard. Quack. The ducks in the cave couldn't help but start vying for favor after hearing Qingyi's words. Last night, he and Zhuge took turns on duty, but it happened to be Zhuge's duty time now. Huh, you worked hard too. Qingyi laughed and rubbed Luoya, who came to him. Gah. Luoya showed a satisfied smile. Zhuge watched this scene and said nothing, but just rubbed Qingyi's trousers again. Qingyi simply washed up and then had breakfast with Zhuge and Luoya. Breakfast is very simple, just the vegetables picked on the road yesterday and some extra meat. After Qingyi ate a little casually, he began to sort out his thoughts for the day. Today's idea is actually similar to yesterday's. On the premise of gaining points, Zhuge can level up quickly. After Zhuge's killings yesterday, his level has reached level 18, 75 out of 100, which is only a little short of level 19. At the same time, after yesterday's kills, his points reached 1977 points, only 23 points away from 2000 points. After killing the level 21 special spiritual beast, the Gale Wolf, yesterday afternoon, he didn't know if it was because other candidates were used to the strength of the spiritual beasts on Yeshao Island, but he didn't encounter any special spiritual beasts. Every time he was about to reach his destination, the special spirit beast marked by him was destroyed. So this also led him to kill a special spiritual beast yesterday. Of course, He was not angry about this result because of his bad luck. He just felt a little pity that he didn't get points and didn't get rewards. So today, just now, he set a small goal, that is, to kill 2 special spiritual beasts today. Kill 2 special spirit beasts without going out of your way. Qin Yi took out the scorer. He didn't open the map immediately, but clicked on the ranking. This is also the first time he has turned on the ranking function. Ranking. First place, Yi Cixi, 3,015 points. Second place, Yu Yong, 2,715 points. Third place, Wu Tianming, 2,636 points. Fourth place, Zhao Qinglei, 2,300 points. Fifth place, Fang Ye, 2,137 points. Sixth place, Lu Ying, 2,026 points. Seventh place, Qin Yi, 1977 points. I'm actually 7th. Qin Yi was stunned. Before looking at it, he estimated that he should be around 20. After looking at it, he was shocked. Can this even rank 7th? Qin Yi shook his head, feeling a little incredible. At this moment, he had a clear understanding of his own strength among his peers. He used to think that he should be pretty good among his peers. Now he feels that he should be pretty good among his peers. As for why he is not invincible, it is because he is still a junior spiritual summoner, not an intermediate spiritual summoner yet. He is still a bit confident about his own strength. Although he can rank in the top 10 in Yehai City, in the entire Soul Summoning Federation, he feels that it is already good if he can rank in the top 500. Come on. Qin Yi stood up, picked up the scorer, and clicked on the map function. Immediately afterwards, after he saw a special spiritual beast about 4 kilometers away from him, he asked a turtle and a duck who were eating breakfast beside him, "Have you eaten well?" Gah. 1 turtle and 1 duck nodded at the same time. Now that we've eaten, let's go. Today's goal is for Zhuge to reach level 20 and kill 2 special spiritual beasts. Gah. A turtle and a duck followed Qin Yi in the direction of the target. At 10 a.m., after several hours of fighting, Zhuge successfully reached level 19. 2 p.m., inside the surveillance room. Bored Yunqing looked at Yi Zhantian, who was sitting not far away, and asked, "Mayor Yi, when will the new surprise attack project for this year's college entrance examination start? You should ask Brother Lu about this." Yi Zhantian changed his position and looked at the strong man sitting in the center. He was also a little bored. The middle-aged man named Lu Gong is the person in charge of this Yehai City College entrance examination. Mayor Yi is joking. "If you want to start, you can start now." Lu Gong looked at Yi Zhantian and showed a flattering smile. Although he is the general person in charge of this Yehai City College entrance examination, he is still a little unsatisfied in front of Yi Zhantian. Yi Zhantian quickly smiled and said, No, I'll just take a look and pretend I don't exist." Under normal circumstances, the mayor of each city does not need to come to the monitoring room. After all, no matter how important the college entrance examination is, it is not as important as the safety of the city. But this is not an ordinary situation for Yi Zhantian. The night mayor is joking. Lu Gong laughed loudly and said to everyone, "The surprise attack project will start at 3 o'clock this afternoon and last for 3 hours. There's still 1 hour left." Yunqing pursed his lips and said to Zhongnian, "Mr. Zhong, how many people have come to your Hongling University?" "1 person." Zhongnian smiled. "Just 1?" Yunqing was startled. "How many did you bring?" Zhongnian asked. 2. Yunqing made a V sign. "That's it." Zhongnian continued, "There are 555 cities in the Soul Calling Federation. We can't recruit 555 students in a year. It's already great to have 1. 1 month before the college entrance examination, after the Soul Calling Federation suddenly assigned this project, they quickly released the task. The general content of the task is for them to train a spiritual beast of more than 20 levels, and then take the trained spiritual beast to various cities to become the college entrance examination proctors in each city. That being said, it seems so." Yunqing touched his chin, pondered for a moment, and then said to Leng Nian, "How many of you are here?" "One," Leng Nian said lightly. "Okay." Yunxing nodded and said nothing. Half an hour later. In the core area of Yeshao Island, Sun Yu, who was leaning against a tree and watching the battle between two apes not far away, received a message. Huh? He frowned slightly and opened the mobile phone specially provided for the college entrance examination. He looked at the information on his phone, and his dull eyes gradually brightened. No wonder we are asked to come here to serve as invigilators, and at the same time, we are required to have a spiritual beast of more than 20 levels. So that's it. Sun Yu suddenly realized. Let me see which unlucky guy is near me. Sun Yu said, with a wicked smile on his face. Sun Yu, a freshman at Huanling University, is Zhongnian's direct disciple. Chapter 28 Surprise Attack. 3 p.m. A voice resounded throughout the world and echoed on Yeshao Island. The Raider event starts now. For detailed information on the Raider's activities, please watch the scoreboard in your hands. Qin Yi listened to the repeated sounds in the sky, his eyebrows furrowed, and he looked curious. Immediately afterwards, he took out the scorer and started to check it. Opening the scorer, an email icon appeared on his interface. Clicking on the mail icon, an announcement with hundreds of words appeared in front of him. He looked at the information on the announcement and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. The information in the announcement can be summed up as the Raider activity is a new college entrance examination project, and they are the first batch of candidates to enjoy this project. As for the activity content is very simple. If you defeat the Raider, you will get 500 points, if you are defeated by the Raider, 20% of your points will be deducted. At the same time, the defeated person will exit the event and will not become the target of other Raiders. This activity is quite interesting. I just don't know if they will stick together. They probably don't have the face to hug each other. Qin Yi smiled, put down the scorer in his hand, and said to the turtle and duck beside him, "Change the goal and let the Pirate King reach level 21 first." At this time, Luoya is still 18 experience points short of level 21. Although Qin Yi said Zhuge was the main trainer, during the leveling process, they would still encounter a few spirit beasts of more than 20 levels. These spirit beasts of more than 20 levels would naturally become Luoya's experience. If they don't take the initiative to look for spiritual beasts of more than 20 levels, Luoya will be able to reach level 21 soon. Now after learning about this event, Qin Yi immediately changed his goal and asked Luoya to upgrade to level 21. Although there is only one level difference between level 21 and level 20, this level is still very critical for Luoya. After all, one more level will increase your own damage. In master duels, this part often determines the final life or death. Okay, that's a bit much, but reaching level 21 is definitely better than level 20, not to mention it's only 18 experience points short. Qin Yi thinks it's easy to gain 18 experience points. When Qin Yi started looking for various level 20 spirit beasts, top students from major universities who came to serve as invigilators also released their prepared spirit beasts and began to look for nearby targets. Some of them released contracted beasts from their own contracts, while others released spirit beasts using spirit summoning balls. Both are over 20 levels, so the one that releases the contract beast is naturally stronger than the one that releases the spirit beast using the spirit summoning ball. After all, contracted beasts can enjoy the bonus of their own talents, but spiritual beasts cannot. Therefore, those candidates who encounter surprise attackers who release contract beasts will be in misfortune. As for why some release contract beasts and some release spirit beasts, that's because most of the top students who release the contract beasts are freshmen. After graduating from high school and entering college, after a year of growth, basically everyone can become a senior spiritual summoner. Geniuses can even become a super spiritual summoner with half a foot. Therefore, most of those who released contracted beasts were freshmen who had just become senior spiritual summoners and had just contracted their fourth contracted beast, and the contracted beast they released was also their fourth contracted beast. Of course, there are also super spiritual summoners who have just made a contract with the fifth contracted beast. Most of the super spiritual summoners are juniors. When encountering a contracted beast trained by a super spiritual summoner, you can only ask for blessings. Most of the raiders who used the spirit summoning ball to release spirit beasts were top students who had already become advanced and super spirit summoners, and whose 4th and 5th contracted beasts exceeded level 30. In the absence of a contracted beast of more than 20 levels, if they want to complete the tasks assigned by the school, they can only use the spirit summoning ball to subdue one or cultivate a spiritual beast of more than 20 levels. 4:23 p.m. Luoya successfully rose to level 21 after more than an hour. With the energy that Luoya gave back this time, Qingyi felt more and more that he was not far from an intermediate spiritual summoner. It seems that when Zhuge reaches level 20, I can become an intermediate spiritual summoner. Qingyi did the math and said softly, I should be able to become an intermediate spiritual summoner tomorrow morning. Okay, change the target, Pirate King, you take a rest, conserve your energy, and wait for any surprise attackers that may appear. Qingyi said to Luoya. Quack. Quack. Okay. Leave it to me. Luoya nodded vigorously, with a hint of seriousness in his eyes. Don't be so serious. They haven't come yet. Qingyi said with a smile, if they come, we will fight. If they don't, we will continue to level up. Gah. Luoya nodded again. No need to practice, I'm here. In an instant, Qingyi and Luoya turned around and looked back. I saw a man walking out from behind the tree. Raider, Sun Yu. Sun Yu looked at Qingyi and grinned, I have been following you for a long time. Qingyi stared at the smiling Sun Yu, remained silent for a few seconds, and then said, Qingyi. How long have you been following me? Qingyi asked. Half an hour, Sun Yu said with a smile, I feel like your pirate duck is about to be upgraded, so I followed you for a while. Your pirate duck has been trained well. Sun Yu said with emotion. He asked himself, he couldn't do this at Qingyi's level of strength. Thank you. Qingyi nodded. Sun Yu looked at Qingyi who was silent again, and smiled again, fight. The next moment, the contract formation instantly condensed in front of him. Qingyi watched a flaming one-horned horse walk out of the contract circle and released it without hesitation to summon his soul pupil. Race, Fire Lin Horse. Level 22. Attribute, Fire. Potential, Low-level Commander. Talent, Fire Linya, Fire Whirlwind. Skills, Flame Crash, Fire Tornado. Introduction, the evolved form of the flame horse that consumes unicorn blood has good potential. A horse with Qilin bloodline? Qingyi looked at the appearance of the fire Qilin horse, then lowered his head to look at Luoya and said, Are you confident? Gah. Luoya took a step forward with high spirits. Isn't your turtle ready? Sun Yu looked at Zhuge lying next to Qingyi, looked up at Qingyi, and asked doubtfully. Qingyi raised the corner of his mouth lightly, showing a confident smile, Don't worry, if you can't beat him, I will let him fight. Then let me see whether your pirate duck is better or my fire horse. Sun Yu waved his hand and shouted, Fire Spirit, show them your skills and open their eyes. Fire Clash. With a neighing sound, the Huolin horse was like a burning flame, galloping towards Luoya without hesitation. During the charge, countless fire elements jumped happily like elves and gathered around it. In an instant, the fire Linma seemed to be enveloped in blazing flames, turning into a mighty flame war god. Release the water gun. Qingyi ordered softly with a calm face. Gah. After receiving the instruction, Luoya quickly puffed up his cheeks, and a surging water column spewed out of his mouth like a giant dragon out of the sea, and shot straight towards the surging fire Linma not far away. Chapter 29 The knife with teeth marks bitten out. Go straight up. Sun Yu looked at the Huolinma who was subconsciously trying to avoid the water column and shouted loudly. He wanted to confront him head-on and let Qingyi, who was about to enter college, know how powerful he was as a senior. The Huolinma heard this and ran into it without fear. The next moment, there was a roar, and fire and water collided fiercely like two meteors. Qingyi looked at the fire horse charging towards them with a water gun, and said calmly, Increase the power and send it flying. The fire Linma did not directly knock away Luoya's water gun, which meant that its skill proficiency was not high, at least not to a perfect level. Pfft! Luoya spat out suddenly, and with that powerful water gun, the water flow instantly accelerated and became more powerful. With a bang, the flames on Huo Linma's body were directly dispersed by Luoya's sudden force, and he leaned back as if he was hit hard by a heavy hammer. Sun Yu was stunned for a moment, his eyes widening in shock. Before he could come to his senses, Luoya had already raised his knife and charged towards Huo Linma. When Luoya rushed halfway, Sun Yu quickly shouted, "Fire Spirit, release the fire whirlwind." The fire Linma neighed, and a strong fire element surged around its body, forming a huge fire ring. "Is the fire whirlwind a ring of fire?" Qin Yi muttered, and then shouted, "Pirate King, release the water wave to extinguish its fire." Gah! Luoya raised his knife and lowered it. The air cut by the tip of the knife instantly condensed into a sharp wave of water, sweeping towards the flames not far away. With a loud bang, the water wave collided with the fire ring, and the flames were extinguished instantly. The water wave passed through the fire ring and directly hit the fire Linma. The fire Linma frowned slightly. The incoming water wave was consumed by the fire whirlwind, and its power was reduced. It hit it like a breeze. It shook off the water stains on its body and roared at the Luoya. What a high level of skill proficiency! Sun Yu became more and more frightened. He knew that Pirate Duck's skill proficiency was very high, but he didn't expect it to be so high. As a top student at Soul Calling University, he had already figured out the skill proficiency of the Pirate Duck in front of him through these few battles. These skills are at least perfect level of proficiency. Did he exchange level for proficiency? Sun Yu was confused. In 1 month, there is only level 21, but 2 skills are already at perfect proficiency. This means that the time for upgrading is replaced by the time for training skills. This approach is not good. Sun Yu shook his head secretly. Skill proficiency is important, but no matter how important it is not as important as level. The enemy's level is much higher than yours. No matter how high your skill proficiency is, the effect will not be as powerful as you think. Now I can fight him, and even achieve a better situation in the battle, because his fire spirit is only level 22, which is only 1 level higher than the Pirate Duck. If it is 5 levels higher than the Pirate Duck, do you think it can be done? Fight him. Sun Yu looked at Huo Ling fighting with the Pirate Duck and shouted, "Fire Ling, release the fire Linya." Water knife. Qin Yi said expressionlessly. Gah! Luoya clenched the long knife. In an instant, the rich water element tightly wrapped the blade like a layer of gauze, and then he swung the sword hard at the fire Linma one after another. Not to be outdone, the fire Linma opened its huge mouth, revealing its sharp and tough fangs. The strong fire element instantly condensed on the fangs, like burning meteors, and struck hard at Luoya with its long knife. Bite away. The loud bang was deafening, and the Huo Linma bit Luoya's long knife tightly, while Luoya swung the long knife vigorously. Release the water gun and deal with it. Qin Yi looked at this scene and shouted quickly. Luoya quickly puffed up his cheeks and sprayed at Huo Linma without hesitation. Hiss! The fire Linma's scream suddenly sounded. Fire Spirit! Sun Yu's face changed drastically, and he ran forward anxiously. This should be a win. Qin Yi looked at Sun Yu, who was rushing towards the fire horse, and said to Luoya, "One Piece, come back." Quack! You are very good. Luoya called twice to the Huo Linma lying on the ground, then turned and walked towards Qin Yi. Although he won this battle, it was not easy for him to win. At least the long knife in his hand had been bitten with a deep tooth mark. He's going to change his knife. Qin Yi looked at Luoya walking towards him and praised, "Well done." Gah! Luoya raised the long knife in his hand, pointed at the location of the tooth mark and said, "Gah! It's broken, it's broken." Qin Yi looked at the tooth marks on the long knife and was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Haha, it's a small thing. I will buy it for you after the college entrance examination is over. I will help you buy a better one." Quack! Luoya nodded vigorously, with a look of joy on his face. Soon after, Sun Yu appeased the fire spirit for a while, stood up, looked at Qin Yi with complicated eyes and said, "You win." Concession. Qin Yi continued to ask, "How to give points?" "Look at the scoreboard, the points should be in your account." Sun Yu was also a little unsure. "Let me take a look." Qin Yi took out the scorer and started checking it. He looked at the extra points on the points interface and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. Then, he looked up at Sun Yu and said, "Thank you." Sun Yu shook his head, "You deserve it." After speaking, the two fell into a brief silence. After a moment of silence, Qin Yi said, "Well, I'll leave first." "Come on." Sun Yu nodded, looked at Qin Yi's back, and finally couldn't help but said, "That." "What?" Qin Yi turned around. "You can find me when you come to Hualing University." Sun Yu took out a pen and paper, wrote on it, and walked towards Qin Yi. "This is my contact information." "Okay." Qin Yi took the paper, looked at the contact information on it, and put it into the spirit summoning space. After seeing Qin Yi accept the paper, Sun Yu couldn't help but remind him, the most important thing about a spiritual beast is its level. The higher the level, the more important it is. Qin Yi was startled when he heard this, then smiled and said, "I know." "Well, come on then." Sun Yu nodded, "I'll wait for you at Summoning University." After Sun Yu finished speaking, he waved to Qin Yi, then turned and walked towards Hualing, who was standing not far away. Qin Yi looked at Sun Yu's back and opened his mouth. He wanted to say, "Are you so sure that I can go to Seoul Summoning University?" But in the end, he still didn't say anything, but turned around and left with a turtle and a duck. A few minutes ago. Monitoring room. The battle between Qin Yi and Sun Yu was projected on the big screen by the staff. Everyone looked at the battle between the pirate duck and the fire Linma with a hint of curiosity. "Is this the fire Linma?" Yunqing looked at Zhongnian instantly. "Mr. Zhong, is this your apprentice?" If he remembered correctly, Mr. Zhong should have a red Lin horse. The red Lin horse is the evolved form of the fire Lin horse. The disciple I accepted last year. Zhongnian did not deny it, but continued with a smile. The level 22 fire Linma with 2 attack talents should be able to test the strength of this pirate duck. Seeing now, he also wanted to see how strong this pirate duck was. Although water defeats fire, with 2 attack talents, the pirate duck with perfect skills will not suppress the fire horse very much. Because the strength of the attack talent is not weaker than the skill that has been practiced to the extreme proficiency, so in the case of skill confrontation, the attribute advantage of the pirate duck will not be so obvious. Chapter 30 Chase. After a while, there was a brief silence in the monitoring room. "This kid's pirate duck really has something," Yunqing said in surprise. "Water gun, water knife, and water wave chop, these 3 skills are all perfect skills. He was able to cultivate a pirate duck with 3 perfect skills in just 1 month. Qin Yi is not an easy boy. Can his talent help spirit beasts master skills better?" Yunqing looked at Yi Zhantian. "What are you looking at me for?" "I don't know." Yi Zhantian rolled his eyes. Even if he knew it, he wouldn't tell it. After all, it was every spiritual master's secret. As for previously registered talents, registration of talents is required by the official. After the official obtains the talent records, they will also be sealed. As long as you do not betray the Spirit Summoning Federation, do not do anything to damage the Spirit Summoning Federation, and do not violate the laws of the Spirit Summoning Federation, the Spirit Summoning Federation will not tell others about your talent at will. As for talent grading, although this thing was created by the Spirit Summoning Federation, they did not tell who these talents belonged to. They only announced the names, and even the effects were insignificant. As for how other people know about some of these effects, that is of course up to the owner himself. They said it themselves, but it has nothing to do with the authorities. Probably not. If so, he wouldn't be the second group of people to choose spiritual beasts. Zhang Meng said suddenly. Not long ago, he got to know Qin Yi through his connections, and learned that Qin Yi was not the first group of people to choose spiritual beasts from Yehai No. 1 High School. Yunqing looked at Zhang Meng. That might be the second talent. Under normal circumstances, the official will only obtain the talents of each spiritual summoner when they first awaken. The second talent, the third talent, and the following talents are all Buddhist registrations. If you want to tell the official, you can go directly to the Soul Calling Bureau to register. There will definitely be rewards for registering, but the rewards will not be like when you first registered. There will be a bunch of spiritual beasts for you to choose from, but will be given based on your awakened talents. If your talent is good, or they have not registered this talent, you will receive high rewards. If the talent is not good, or they already have this talent in their talent library, then the reward will be different. Maybe. Zhang Meng said calmly. It may also be a matter of level. The levels of his earth turtle and pirate duck are too low. A woman sitting not far from Zhang Meng said. It's really unusual for such a powerful pirate duck to have this level. Someone nodded in agreement. Could it be a problem with the turtle? What happened to the earth turtle? Before the earth spirit turtle evolves, but the little rock turtle, do you think the newly born little rock turtle has the ability to kill spirit beasts and gain experience? When everyone heard this, they suddenly fell silent. Just looking at the earth turtle's fire skills, I forgot that it was a little rock turtle before it evolved. If the first contracted beast is little rock turtle, then it wouldn't be surprising if he reaches this level within this time. Everyone was talking about it, and the final result was that some people thought Qin Yi had the talent for spiritual beasts to quickly master skills, while others thought he didn't. Everyone, please stop arguing. Qin Yi is about to meet Yi Sisi. Leng Nian shouted while rubbing his forehead, which was a bit unbearable from the noise, looking at a picture on the screen not far away. After hearing this, everyone became quiet again. The staff who controlled the surveillance screen also changed the big screen picture to Yi Sisi's picture at this moment. At this time, Yi Sisi was riding a black horse and running desperately, while behind her, 5 attackers wearing Proctor uniforms were chasing her. This route seems to be really possible. As long as Qin Yi doesn't wander around, we will definitely encounter him. It would be interesting to meet you. What do you think Qin Yi will do if we meet him? What else can I do? Of course I'll beat him. Not necessarily. Qin Yi's pirate duck has just been consumed, and there shouldn't be much energy left. Qin Yi will definitely fight him, he won't be able to leave. That's right, Yi Sisi can leave, but Qin Yi can't. He doesn't have a contracted beast that can take his place. That's right. Look, they are about to meet. As the sound rang, he looked at the other admissions teachers monitoring the situation and immediately looked at the big screen in the center. The picture on the big screen was also replaced by a surveillance camera near Qin Yi. At this time, Qin Yi was resting on a stone with a turtle and a duck. There's movement. Qin Yi stood up from the stone after hearing the movement in the distance. Coming towards us. Qin Yi pricked up his ears. When he saw that the sound was getting closer and closer to them, he said to the turtle and duck beside him who were staring closely at each other, "Follow me." Zhuge, yeah. Luoya, ga. A turtle and a duck followed Qin Yi to a relatively secluded place. Not long after, Qin Yi looked at the figure not far away and frowned. Why does this figure feel so familiar to me? Quack. Quack. It's the bird, the mistress of that bird, cried the Luoya. Qin Yi listened to the cries of Luoya and exclaimed, Yi Sisi. Damn it. Why does she look a little embarrassed? Qin Yi looked at the figure that was gradually becoming clearer, with a look of shock on his face. But soon, he saw 5 figures behind Yi Sisi and 5 spiritual beasts beside the 5 figures. Are you so unlucky? There are 5 of you in one encounter? Qin Yi was slightly startled, then sighed. I don't know whether I should say you are unlucky, or should I say you are lucky? Qin Yi muttered, lowered his head and looked at a turtle and a duck and said, wait until Yi Sisi passes by, then aim directly at the bird in the sky and release the water gun and spray flames on it. Zhuge, yeah. Luoya, ga. Stop running. If you lose to us earlier, you still have time to score points. If you run now, it's a waste of time. Wang Lang is right. If you lose to us now, you will have 1 more hour to earn points. Although this hour cannot make up for the 20% we deducted from you, it is enough for you to earn hundreds of points. Get out. Yi Sisi, who was riding Yi Mingju, had a gloomy expression on his face, and Yi Mingju's speed under his feet was even faster. "You are so shameless, do you really think we can't do anything to you?" A man with a bad temper shouted. Wind released 2 consecutive blows of wind blades at its feet. Beside him, a 2-leaf mantis named Feng quickly stepped forward and quickly waved his bladed hands at Yi Sisi. The next moment, 2 sharp green blades shot out from its hands like arrows, and with lightning speed, they shot directly at Yi Sisi not far away. Boom! Boom! Yi Sisi dodged the incoming attack with some embarrassment. She patted Yi Mingju underneath her and said, "Xiaoya, release an Yabu." Yi Mingju whispered, and in an instant, the black shadows under his feet were entangled like poisonous snakes, and his own speed was a little faster under the entanglement of the black shadows. Wang Lang looked at Yi Sisi who was getting further away, and quickly shouted, "Linger, rush up, don't let her run away." The 2-winged bird named Linger in the sky suddenly waved its wings and rushed forward like lightning. Just when Yi Sisi rushed through a tall tree and the 2-winged bird had just chased him to the side of a tall tree, a scorching red flame and a blue water column suddenly rushed out and hit the 2-winged bird beside him. The next moment, a deafening roar suddenly sounded. Chapter 31 The Shocked 5 People. 2 sudden attacks of skills hit the 2-winged bird, catching Wang Lang and the others off guard. Wang Lang was dumbfounded as he listened to the screams of his beloved bird. His mind went blank for a moment and he couldn't help but stop. Not only him, but the 4 people around Wang Lang and Yi Sisi who were running away also stopped. Yi Sisi turned around and looked at Qin Yi and his contracted beast coming out from behind the tree, and was slightly startled. "Good afternoon." Qin Yi grinned at Yi Sisi. "You are a little miserable, do you need help?" Yi Sisi came back to her senses and rolled her eyes at him subconsciously. Then, she turned around on Yi Mingju, waved her hand, and a contract formation appeared beside her. After doing all this, she said to Qin Yi, "Why are you here?" "That's it for now." Qin Yi shrugged. Yi Sisi nodded slightly. "Hit?" "Of course." Qin Yi pointed at Yi Mingju under Yi Sisi. "If you don't fight, you can run away, but I can't run away." Although these 5 people had not discovered him before, they still had a high chance of discovering him after they defeated Yi Sisi. "That's true." Yi Sisi nodded again after hearing this. Then, she showed a bright smile and said, "Then you fight, I'm leaving." Qin Yi glanced at her speechlessly, looked up at Yi Haiying, who had changed his appearance, and asked, "Mutation evolution?" If he remembered correctly, Yi Haiying should evolve into Yi Lanying, but this is obviously not what Yi Haiying looks like. This is what the evolution looks like after losing most of the water attributes. Yi Sisi looked at his Xiaohei and continued, "Xiaohei, Dark Night Eagle is not weaker than Night Wave Eagle." "No wonder." Qin Yi muttered, "Did you give her the name Xiaohei?" "That's right." Yi Sisi smiled and said, "After she evolved into a Nighthawk, I gave her this name." Qin Yi looked at Yi Mingju where Yi Sisi was sitting down, and when he was about to continue asking, a voice came over. After Wang Lang checked the injury of the 2-winged bird, he looked at the 2 people who were chatting with no one, and frowned slightly. "Have you said enough?" Qin Yi heard the news and went away. He looked at the 5 people standing not far away, and then looked at Yi Sisi beside him. Yi Sisi looked at the contracted beasts beside the 5 people and introduced them one by one. Level 27 Double-Winged Bird, Level 25 Double-Leaf Mantis, Level 25 Water Leap Frog, Level 24 Fire Snake, Level 22 One-Eyed Sword. Qin Yi looked at the long sword with one eye suspended in the air, and said in surprise, "It's a bit rare to see an instrument spirit beast." Spirit beasts that resemble weapons, armor and other equipment are collectively called equipment spirit beasts. The abilities possessed by this type of spirit beast are similar to weapons and armor. Most of the abilities possessed by sword-like spirit beasts are offensive abilities, most of the abilities possessed by armor-like spirit beasts are also defensive abilities. As for how this kind of spiritual beast came from, Qin Yi didn't know. He could only say that there are all kinds of wonders in the world. It's rare, but its strength is only average. Yi Si thought. Rare spiritual beasts are not necessarily strong, and powerful spiritual beasts are not necessarily rare. Of course, Most rare spiritual beasts are still very strong, such as Sailor Duck and Night Sea Eagle. Qin Yi thought for a moment and asked, Two-Leaf Mantis, One-Eyed Sword, and Fire Snake, I will stop these 3 and leave the other 2 to you. Are you okay? Can you stop 3? Yi Cici's eyes widened, full of doubts. Then, her doubtful eyes gradually turned weird. If I read correctly, you should still be a junior spiritual summoner. I probably have nothing to do with my contracted beast, Qin Yi said. Of course it does matter. Yi Cici said with a serious face, you have not become an intermediate spiritual summoner, which means that none of your contract beasts are higher than level 24. Even if you have a growth talent, it should not be as high. At level 23. You don't have a contracted beast higher than level 23, how can you fight them? I didn't say I could win. Qin Yi raised the corner of his mouth, you can kill them quickly, just come and support me. I can still hold them off for a while. Yes. Yi Cici was startled, then said with a smile, then I will leave these 3 to you, and I will protect you as quickly as possible. Then you have to hurry up. My Pirate King just defeated a surprise attacker not long ago, and he doesn't have much energy. Qin Yi said with a smile. What? Yi Cici shouted in shock. Just when she wanted to ask who it was, Wang Lang said with a dark face, are you done? He couldn't bear the feeling of being ignored again. If it weren't for the rules, he really wanted them to see the power of a high-level spiritual summoner. Let's talk later. Qin Yi said to Yi Cici, then looked at Wang Lang who was not far away, smiled, walked forward, walked to the front of Yi Cici, and said, Dear proctors, are you going to gang up on us? As the leader, Wang Lang took a deep breath and responded, we can do 1v1. Before being seen by the second examinee, he could still do 5-on-1, but now after being seen by the second examinee, he really had no face to say that the rules of the game allowed group fights. No, no, no. Qin Yi shook his head quickly, if we don't use 1v1, 1v1 would be too difficult for you and not very friendly to you. Let's do this. Qin Yi pointed at Yi Cici and continued to Wang Lang, I'll choose the target. It's 2v3 for me and 2v2 for her. Whichever side wins first can support the other side in the battle. How about that? When Wang Lang was about to call the 4 people around him to discuss, Qin Yi said again, by the way, my turtle is level 19, and my duck is level 21. Wang Lang and the other 5 fell silent immediately after hearing this. Everyone has reported their contracted beast level, but the level is still so low. If they don't agree to it even if it is so low, they will probably suffer a lot when they go back. They are not stupid, but they know that their current scene must be under the watchful eyes of many admissions teachers. After all, the person they are chasing is Yi Cici, who currently ranks first in actual combat points. Of course, it was precisely because Yi Cici's points were high that they joined forces. If Yi Cici's points were not high, they would have no shame in joining forces to chase Yi Cici. By the way, I forgot to mention, my name is Qin Yi, and my points should be quite high. If you defeat me, the rewards you will get should not be too small. Qin Yi's voice came again. When Wang Lang and the other 5 heard this, they collectively showed a hint of shock. It seems that I guessed correctly. Qin Yi thought to himself. After Wang Lang was silent for a moment, without discussing it with anyone else, he asked directly, who do you want to choose? Two-Leaf Mantis, One-Eyed Sword, Fire Snake. Qin Yi said. Okay. Wang Lang did not ask the owners of these 3 contract beasts, but directly agreed for them. War? Qin Yi asked. Fight. Wang Lang nodded vigorously, with a hint of seriousness in his eyes. Although his opponent was not the boy in front of him, it was because he was not him that he showed a serious expression. Yi Cici's birds and horses are not easy to deal with. If she was easy to deal with, he wouldn't have called so many people to beat her up. Chapter 32 Possibilities Never Thought of. We fought, and they are finally going to fight. It's not easy. Which school are these 5 people from? They are a bit brave. Can they agree to this request? If you don't agree, let them fight 5 against 4. To be honest, I feel like they have a little chance of winning at 5-on-4. When they meet Qin Yi, their chances of winning are slim. Not necessarily. Qin Ye's pirate ducks were consumed by Mr. Zhong's disciples not long ago, and there shouldn't be much energy left. That's what I say, but that turtle of his is not just a decoration. It's not like you haven't seen the fighting power of that turtle before. No matter how strong that turtle is, it's only level 19, not level 20 yet. Without the turtles reaching level 20, do you think you can fight 2-on-3 with the pirate ducks who have very little energy left? What's more, their opponents are all spiritual beasts above level 20. I still think they can win. How about a bet? What a bet, they will definitely win. Not to mention Qin Ye's turtle, the 3 pirate ducks, night eagles, and night horses are extremely rare and powerful spirit beasts. They are not comparable to the 5 spirit beasts on the opposite side. As Qin Yi said, he can still delay it for a while. He only needs to delay it until Yi Sisi ends the battle and waits for Yi Sisi to come to support. So, they are still too young. Teachers of these 5 students, when you go back, you must guide them carefully and tell them not to change their minds easily. Fight in groups if they can, and don't fight separately. In a group fight, 5 spirit beasts can beat a pirate duck, night eagle or night horse with all their might. But now, it's a pity, I don't see any hope of winning. While the admissions teacher was having a heated discussion in the monitoring room, Qin Yi and the others also separated into 2 battlefields. Yao Qingqing, the grumpy man just now, looked at Qin Yi and said, "I will let you know the price of looking down on us. Please show mercy." Qin Yi smiled and didn't care about his tone. "Feng, come on, let his ducks know how powerful we are." Yao Qingqing pointed forward with her right hand and started fighting directly. After hearing the instructions from his spiritual master, the double-leaf mantis rushed towards Luoya without hesitation. At the same time, a man and a woman beside Yao Qingqing also began to command their contracted beasts. "Come on, flame snake, release flame spray on that duck. One-eyed knife, give me a knife to chop that duck into pieces." The 3 of them have the same goal, which is to eliminate the pirate duck first, and then eliminate the meaty-looking earth turtle together. Qin Yi listened to the words of the 3 people, turned his eyes to Zhuge and Luoya, and gave the order decisively, "Zhuge, release the earth shield, then release the fort, let me blast them. Luoya, after releasing the water shield, go straight towards the mantis. When you are about to charge, release the water knife for me, and then beat that mantis hard." Zhuge, "Yeah." Luoya, "Ga." After hearing Qin Ye's instructions, the turtles and ducks quickly followed it. The rich earth and water elements instantly condensed into shields around Zhuge and Luoya. After releasing the earth shield, Zhuge neighed in a low voice. The next moment, red light gathered on the turtle's shell like lava, and with a loud bang sound, raging flames spewed out from the turtle's shell like a volcanic eruption, rushing straight into the sky, and instantly gathered into a huge fireball. The fireball connected with the turtle shell, like a moving flame fort, and began to fire small fireballs one after another towards the 3-headed spiritual beast not far away. Before the 3-headed spirit beasts could fight Luoya, they were attacked by Zhuge's fort. "Hide!" Yao Qingqing looked at the fireball flying in the sky and shouted quickly. At this time, his face was full of shock, and the 2 people around him and Yi Sisi and the others who were fighting in another place couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Not everyone can stay calm due to the terrifying momentum created by Zhuge Ligua. Not only them, but also the people sitting in the monitoring room were surprised when they saw Zhuge releasing Ligua for the first time. Even Yi Zhantian, the mayor of Yehai City, was no exception. The reason why Qin Yi attracted the attention of many admissions teachers was mainly due to Zhuge's peculiarities besides the pirate duck. Yao Qingqing looked at the small fireballs flying towards them one after another from the huge fireball as if they didn't want any energy, and hurriedly shouted, "Attack that turtle first and interrupt that turtle's skills." He put it simply, it is not so easy for a double-leaf mantis to do it. At this time, the double-leaf mantis had already met the Luo duck. Luoya held a long knife wrapped in water elements and slashed at the double-leaf mantis. The double-leaf mantis was as light as a swallow and could easily avoid it. The sharp blade of its left hand struck at Luo Ya's waist like lightning. Luo Ya didn't panic when he was in danger, his cheeks were bulging like an inflated balloon, and he jumped back. At the same time, the perfect water gun came out of the hole like a dragon, sprayed out from his mouth, and hit the double-leaf mantis impartially on the blade. With a bang, the double-leaf mantis was instantly blown away like a kite with its string broken. Gah! That's it? Luo Ya looked at the double-leaf mantis lying on the ground with some disdain, and swung his knife out. The water element wrapped in the long knife condensed into a blue knife light at this moment, and he took off the knife. He came out and attacked the double-leaf mantis not far away. There was only a loud bang sound, and the speeding blue sword light was hit by the sudden white sword light and collapsed instantly. This battle is not 1v1. The one-eyed knife and the candle snake came to support from both sides. However, before they could stay too long, 3 fireballs not far away roared in like cannonballs. The one-eyed knife and the Huizhu snake saw this and hid quickly. Behind him, the two-leaf mantis stood up with his hands wrapped in wind elements, and swung it away with a knife, cutting the incoming fireball in half. When the two-leaf mantis resolved the crisis, Luo Ya did not stand still. At this time, he was about to arrive in front of the double-leaf mantis. Only this time, the double-leaf mantis was much more cautious, and kept waving its sickle-like mantis arms, fighting with Luo Ya one after another. Yao Qingqing looked at this scene and said to the 2 people beside him, "Leave that duck to me, you go and kill that turtle." After hearing this, the 2 felt that the turtle was indeed a little annoyed, so they didn't say anything more and let their contracted beasts rush towards Zhuge. Qin Yi looked at the snake and knife rushing toward Zhuge, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but raise slightly. He asked Zhuge to release Li Gua. What he wanted was this effect. What he wanted was for Luo Ya to challenge the two-leaf mantis alone, so that Luo Ya could end the battle quickly, and then join forces with Zhuge to defeat the fire candle snake and the one-eyed sword. As for the possibility of Luo Ya being defeated by the double-leaf mantis, he had never thought about it. Chapter 33 The Complete Form of Luo Ya. Zhuge looked at the snakes and swords coming towards him with serious eyes. Immediately afterwards, he controlled the huge fireballs in the sky, shooting small fireballs one after another at them like a machine gun. The snakes and knives tried to dodge in various ways, but in the end it was difficult to withstand the huge number of fireballs. After each successfully dodged several times, they were hit by small fireballs coming one after another in the sky. Doesn't its fireball consume energy? The woman listened to the screams of her beloved snake, her face full of doubts. This is a continuous skill. As long as its energy is not exhausted, it can keep throwing fireballs at us. The man on the side frowned slightly. It can't move away if you release the long-range skill. That's all we can do. The woman nodded vigorously and shouted to her beloved snake, "Fire snake, release the fire snake bomb for me." P.S. Under normal circumstances, I just write the name of their contracted beast, not the name they gave the contracted beast. Kill with one strike, the man also shouted. Snake and Dao heard this and immediately released their skills on the spot. Snake-shaped flame bombs and huge swords struck from both sides and went straight to Zhuge, who was lying on the ground. Zhuge's face was expressionless, and he roared in a low voice. Fireballs shot out like cannonballs, slamming into the incoming attack. The next moment, bursts of roaring sounds were heard, and the 2 major skills of snake and knife exploded in the air like fireworks under the violent collision of several fireballs, and then disappeared without a trace. No. Long-range attacks don't work. The woman shook her head. No, it works. The man who had been watching the huge fireball continued, "It used 5 fireballs to neutralize our attack, and each of us only used 1 skill." The man looked at the woman and said, "The energy it needs to consume far exceeds ours. We can wear it to death. Use it up until its energy is used up. Use it up." When the woman heard this, she looked at Zhuge excitedly and shouted, "Huizhu snake, continue to release fire snake bullets for me." "Kill with 1 knife," the man yelled. Qin Yi looked at the attack coming again and said calmly, "Release the flame jet at the knife." "Yeah." While Zhuge released the fireball to resist the incoming skill, he looked at the one-eyed sword and suddenly opened his huge mouth. In an instant, thick fire like a fire dragon came out of the nest and went straight towards the one-eyed knife. Hearing a bang, the one-eyed sword, which was left defenseless by this sudden blow, was directly blown away. The man was startled, and quickly looked in the direction where the one-eyed knife fell, and asked, "Dao, are you okay?" On the side, the woman looked at the man's anxious look and said to her beloved snake, "Release the flame jet at that turtle. Attack is the best way to protect." Qin Yi glanced at the fire snake and gave an instruction to Zhuge, "Ignore its flames and attack the one-eyed sword with all your strength." Zhuge instantly looked at the one-eyed sword. In an instant, one fireball after another flew out of the huge fireball. The continuous fireballs were like meteors, flying towards the one-eyed sword. The one-eyed sword shook his body when he heard the voice of his spiritual summoner. When he was about to respond, he saw dozens of fireballs flying towards him in the sky. It looked at the dozens of fireballs attacking in the sky and froze on the spot. Quickly release continuous slashes. But soon, the voice of his own spiritual master awakened it. Immediately afterwards, its body was like a shadow, and it swung out one knife after another. Bang! 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 Just as the roar in the sky passed, a loud noise came from the ground. The flames of the fire candle snake hit Zhuge's earth shield at this moment. Zhuge held up the earth shield and looked at the flames burning outside the shield. His mouth suddenly opened, and the perfect jet flame shot out directly from his mouth. With a bang, the loud noise sounded again. While Zhuge was breathing fire, the huge fireball above his head was also slowly shrinking. The man looked at Zhuge, who was confronting the Huizhu snake, and at the shrinking fireball above Zhuge's head, with a happy expression on his face. "Let your snake fight with him, and I'll let the knife kill him. Hurry up, his flame jet is very strong." The woman looked at the length of the flame jet of her beloved snake being reduced little by little, and her face couldn't help but look ugly. If it decreases, it means that the flame jet of that turtle is more powerful than that of her beloved snake. Although there are not many powerful ones, she can't accept it. After all, her fire candle snake is a serious fire-attributed spirit beast, and it is also a level 24 fire-attributed spirit beast. If that turtle was a fire-attributed spirit beast, then it would be more powerful and she could accept it, but that turtle was not. That turtle was just a fake fire-attributed spirit beast, and it itself was earth-attributed. The flame jet released by the earth-attributed spiritual beast is more powerful than her fire-attributed snake. How can she accept it? She couldn't accept it, so her expression naturally didn't get any better. During their fierce confrontation, a shocked voice came from the side. "How is that possible?" Yao Qingqing stared blankly at the double-leaf mantis that was repelled by the pirate duck. A few minutes ago, when Zhuge was fighting fiercely with Yi Snake and Yi Dao, Luo Ye's frequency of attacking double-leaf mantis did not decrease. Qin Ye's instructions to him were very simple, that is, try his best not to attack the double-leaf mantis without using skills, thus plundering its energy. Then, Luo Ye began to exchange injuries for energy. No matter how many times he was beaten back by the double-leaf mantis, he would stand up immediately and continue on. In this way, his energy increased more and more under his operation, while the energy of the double-leaf mantis gradually passed away unknowingly. Because the double-leaf mantis released its skills from time to time, it didn't realize that its energy had been inadvertently robbed until it was repelled by Luo Ye. At this time, Luo Ye looked at the double-leaf mantis who was looking at him in disbelief. A red light flashed through his eyes, and an unknown aura surged out of his body. Perfect fighting spirit, released instantly. Ga! Fight! Luo Ye roared and raised his knife to kill. Squeak! The eyes of the double-leaf mantis flashed fiercely, and the sword came out. It feels like it's been provoked. Bang 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 bang. Amidst the flash of swords and shadows, the double-leaf mantis was slashed back again. Only this time, Luo Ye didn't give it a chance to breathe. Instead, he rushed forward quickly, wrapped the water element in his long knife, and slashed at it. There was a bang, and the double-leaf mantis hurriedly parried, but was not chopped away by the knife. Luo Ye looked at the two-leaf mantis that was gritting his teeth and resisting under the knife, and with a quacking sound, he used all his strength and swung it downwards. Bang! There was a roar, and a streak of blood spurted out along with the screams of the double-leaf mantis. In an instant, the ground was dyed red with blood. Wind! Yao Qingqing was dumbfounded, looking at the scene in front of her in disbelief. After Luoya kicked the double-leaf mantis kneeling in front of him, he ignored the state of the double-leaf mantis and turned around without hesitation to kill the one-eyed sword not far away. Chapter 34. Not bad, just a little slow. This. The man looked at the two-leaf mantis that was kicked away and fell silent. The double-leaf mantis has already lost, so what a slap in the face. The corner of the man's mouth twitched slightly, and he turned to look at his beloved knife, which was still there and didn't know how to attack the turtle shell, and fell silent again. Just when the one-eyed sword was about to slash Zhuge, Zhuge directly shrank into the turtle shell and released the thorns on the turtle shell. Then, One Eye slashed through the earth shield with a knife, and struck the thorn tortoise shell that suddenly appeared. In an instant, the stinging sensation of the thorn spread throughout its entire body, causing it to scream in agony. Then, the double-leaf mantis was killed. Then, before he had time to think about how to break open the prickly turtle shell, he faced a new opponent. As for the fireball in the sky, that fireball was put away by Zhuge not long after Yao Qingqing said, "How is that possible?" The man looked at the pirate duck charging towards his beloved knife, his head hurt, and he even had the slightest intention of giving up. It was just that this intention of retreat was mercilessly snuffed out by him before it could even appear for a few seconds. There are hundreds of pairs of eyes staring at this place now. He didn't dare to run. What's more, this is not a life and death battle, this is just a project in the college entrance examination. If you lose, you lose. It's no big deal. At most, it's just a shame. The man who figured it out decisively shouted, "One-eyed knife, go attack the pirate duck and let him know how powerful we are." The turtle's shell was too hard, and it had thorns at the same time. The thorny turtle shell was really not good for his favorite knife, so he decisively handed the turtle to the woman beside him. Go fight the pirate duck alone. Of course, he is not stupid. At this moment of sudden change, he let his beloved knife attack the pirate duck. The most important thing is that he felt that the pirate duck was about to die. He felt that the pirate duck was showing off. After all, no matter how weak Yao Qingqing's double-leaf mantis is, in his opinion, it is still a level 25 spiritual beast. Even if the pirate duck with only level 21 defeated the two-leaf mantis with level 25, it would not be so easy, so he was betting that the pirate duck's energy had been almost exhausted. He looked at the picture of his beloved knife being killed by the pirate duck like a melon and vegetables, and he fell silent immediately. The strength of both sides is not at the same level at all. At this time, although Luoya doesn't have much energy left, he is a duck with the dual passive talents of plunder and desperation. The more he fights, the stronger he gets. This is no joke. What are you doing? The woman looked at the one-eyed knife being mercilessly crushed by the pirate duck. She was angry and felt weak in her heart. This candidate named Qin Yi is too strong. This turtle, this duck, are these really level 19 and level 21 spiritual beasts? After sighing for a while, the woman watched her beloved snake gradually gain an advantage in the battle with the turtle. She glared at the man and said, "Just now we attacked the turtle together, and we won. Now that you are gone, how can I fight, ah?" The man opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything, but sighed. He wanted to say that even if we fought together, we wouldn't be able to kill that turtle in that little time. After all, the pirate duck rushing towards you won't just stand around and watch the show. Seeing that the man was silent, the woman looked at the pirate duck who started to attack her beloved snake. She quickly looked at Qin Yi and said, "No more fighting, I admit defeat." Concession. Qin Yi raised the corner of his mouth slightly, revealing a smile, and then made Luoya and Zhuge stop their attacks. Gah! Luoya said hello to the Huizhu snake curled up on the ground, and walked towards Qin Yi carrying his long knife. Zhuge, who was about to be hollowed out, looked tired and lay on the spot without wanting to move. The main reason why he can persist for so long is that he possesses Kuan Gua. The energy recovery effect of Kuan Gua is no joke, especially when it comes into contact with the ground, the effect is amazing. At first, Qin Yi thought that the Kuan-Gua effect increased his own recovery speed to restore his own injuries. However, after several days of testing, he found that this increased his own recovery speed, not only his own injuries, but also energy recovery, physical recovery. In short, the effect was far beyond his imagination, and he was shocked at the time. Qin Yi came to Iguay Ya and praised, "Well done. When the college entrance examination is over, I will ask my mother to cook a big meal." "Yeah. Yeah." Zhuge nodded wildly, ecstatic, and his own fatigue couldn't help but feel less. Quack. Luoya beside him couldn't help but salivate. When Qin Yi saw this, he laughed and said, "You two snackers, you go first to the spirit summoning space and rest for a while." Gah. After a big battle, the turtle and the duck were still very tired, so Qin Yi decisively took them into the spirit summoning space. After all, resting outside is not as comfortable as in a spirit calling space, except of course in certain places. After putting a turtle and a duck into the spirit summoning space, Qin Yi turned to look at Yi Sisi who was standing not far away and looking at him. "How is it?" "It's okay. Not bad, just a little slow." Yi Sisi nodded with a smile. She didn't believe Qin Yi's words about waiting for her to come to support him. As a result, it turned out that her judgment was correct, and he solved the battle without her help. Although her battle with Qin Yi was not long after he contracted the little rock turtle last time, after that battle, she understood the strength of this turtle. With a turtle with incredible defense and a pirate duck with super strong combat power, especially this pirate duck was brought back by Uncle Qin himself, she couldn't imagine Qin Yi losing. Of course, the most important thing was the tone of Qin Yi's words. That relaxed tone didn't sound like he needed support. So after the battle, she did not go to support Qin Yi, but stood there and watched Qin Yi's battle. Of course, she had just finished, and the time to finish was a little faster than the time it took for Luoya to deal with the double-leaf mantis. Her end is the end of it all. It would be good to win. Qin Yi rolled his eyes at her. If his turtles and ducks had level 23 or 24, he would have been finished long ago. He didn't look at Yi Sisi's eagle and horse, but he knew even without looking at them that they were at least level 23 spiritual beasts. That makes sense. Yi Sisi smiled slightly, then looked at the 5 people not far away, grinned and said, "Thank you for the points." Sure enough, the number 1 in every city is not something to be trifled with. Wang Lang smiled and shook his head, feeling filled with emotion. In the battle just now, he fully understood Yi Sisi's strength. At the same time, he became more and more wise in his call to action. Without calling someone, he really can't do anything. Losing now was because she was lucky enough to meet Qin Yi, otherwise they would be the winners in the end. It can only be said that they were a little bit unlucky. Chapter 35 The Third Talent, Son of Nature. In the surveillance room, Yinxing looked at the surveillance picture on the big screen and showed a confident smile, a battle without any suspense. When he heard that they were going to be divided into 2 groups for a duel, he knew that Qin Yi and the others would win this battle without any doubt. Regardless of whether Qin Yi was hiding his strength or not, and Guang Yi Sisi's strength, he didn't know how Wang Lang and his team could win. In the situation where Wang Lang's group is bound to lose, the winner of this battle has already appeared. This duck has continuous passive talents. Lang Nian frowned. Continuous passive talents and attack-type amplification skills, this duck is not simple. How could the duck Qin Ming found for his son be so simple? Zhongnian listened to Lang Nian's words and shook his head secretly. He did not speak, but silently recorded the strength Qin Yi showed. While they were discussing, Qin Yi, Yi Sisi and Wang Lang separated and came to a small stream to rest. Although they won the battle just now, they also consumed a lot of energy, especially Qin Yi's turtle and duck. Qin Yi's turtle and duck had little energy left after a big battle. So Qin Yi decisively joined forces with Yi Sisi. He planned to wait until this event was over before saying goodbye to Yi Sisi. "How long are you prepared to follow me?" Yi Sisi sat on the grass and looked at Qin Yi and asked. "Wait until the event is over." Qin Yi yawned lazily and turned to look at Yi Mingjiu who was drinking water, where did you get this horse? My mother gave it to me. Yi Sisi lifted up a strand of blue-black hair that covered her eyes. At their age and strength, they cannot go out alone to find rare spiritual beasts. Therefore, most of the rare spiritual beasts they contracted at this time were bought or given by family members. Envy. Qin Yi looked at Yi Mingjiu with envy. Yi Sisi rolled her eyes at him and said curiously, "That turtle of yours is pretty good, no wonder you want to contract with him." "I'm not stupid." Qin Yi turned to look at Yi Sisi and smiled, "But when I contracted Zhuge, I didn't know he could breathe fire." "Mutation?" Yi Sisi asked. "Probably." Qin Yi responded perfunctorily and changed the subject. "What level are your eagles and horses?" 25, 24. Yi Sisi didn't care about Qin Yi's operation and asked in confusion, "Why is your spirit beast level so low?" "When I was promoted to Zhuge, I didn't let the pirate king upgrade, so the level was naturally low." Qin Yi continued, "And unlike you, I can directly contract with high-level spiritual beasts." "Yes, you have a growth talent." Yi Si thought of Qin Yi's talent. Qin Yi's talent means that it is not cost-effective for him to contract with high-level spiritual beasts. If it were her, she would also find a low-level spiritual beast to contract with. Of course, choosing a low-level spiritual beast is not a mindless choice. If you are a super spiritual summoner, you can contract a level 20 or level 30 spirit beast. You don't need to specifically choose a level 1 or level 10 spirit beast. The reason is that the energy fed back by a contracted level 20 spirit beast is more than the energy fed back by a contracted level 10 spirit beast. As a super spiritual summoner, the difference is not very big for you. Under similar circumstances, contracting a level 20 spirit beast is comparable to contracting a level 1 spirit beast, saving nearly a month of leveling time. 1 month can do a lot. Of course, the most important thing is to look at yourself. When you meet a powerful spiritual beast that you like, no matter how high it is, you still have to make a contract. After all, one's own strength can be improved through acquired efforts, but powerful spiritual beasts are hard to come by. Time passed slowly. After Qin Yi spent the last few dozen minutes safely, he stood up, patted the weeds on his pants, and said to Yi Sisi, "Let's go." "Go slowly, I won't send you off." Yi Sisi had a smile on her lips. In the last few dozen minutes, they did not go to kill the spirit beasts, but sat by the stream, chatted for a while, and had dinner by the way. After leaving Yi Sisi, Qin Yi continued his leveling journey. His Zhuge hadn't reached level 20 yet. Zhuge, who had rested for dozens of minutes, was in high spirits. Although the energy has not been fully restored, it is completely enough to deal with these wild spiritual beasts. When they went to kill wild spiritual beasts to gain points, the college students who acted as surprise attackers also resumed their identities as invigilators and began to protect the candidates who were taking the college entrance examination. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. Qin Yi looked at Zhuge, who had successfully reached level 20, and sighed in confusion. He still hasn't become an intermediate spiritual summoner. It seems that we need to wait for the 22nd level of One Piece. Qin Yi shook his head and said to Yigia, "No more fighting, find a place to rest, and continue tomorrow." Zhuge, "Yeah." Luoya, "Ga." Luoya gained a lot of experience in Zhuge's leveling process, so when asked whether to train Zhuge or Luoya tomorrow, he decisively chose to train Luoya. June 3rd. It's around 2 p.m. After hours of fighting, Luoya finally reached level 22. At the same time, a mysterious force suddenly surged out of Qin Yi's body. Qin Yi felt the sudden increase of power in his body and said happily, "It's not easy to be an intermediate spiritual summoner." With Zhuge at level 20 and Luoya at level 22, he finally became an intermediate spiritual summoner. "Let me see what the extra talents are." Qin Yi paused for a while and began to check his new talents. Name, Qin Yi. Level, Intermediate Spiritual Summoner. Talent, All Things, Destiny, Son of Nature. Skill, Soul Calling Eye. Son of Nature, integrate with nature, get close to nature, the intimacy of one's own elements will increase, and one's own presence in the eyes of others will be reduced, the self-contracted beast can enjoy some of the effects. Qin Yi looked at the effect displayed on the panel, blinked his eyes, and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. Yes, this talent is not bad. Qin Yi turned off the interface and asked a turtle and a duck, "Do you feel anything?" "Huh?" Zhuge tilted his head in confusion. "Ga." Luoya shook his head. Qin Yi saw this and said, "Please feel the earth and water elements around you carefully." After hearing this, the turtle and the duck closed their eyes together and began to feel it with their hearts. The next second, Luoya opened his eyes and looked at Qin Yi in shock. "Quack. Quack." Qin Yi looked at the shocked Luoya and explained with a smile, "My new talent. With my new talent, your elemental intimacy with yourself will increase. The intimacy of the elements has been improved. You will be able to control your skills faster and the skills you can release will be stronger." "Quack. I'll try it." Luoya waved the long knife in his hand, and he released a water blade. With a bang, a tree fell to the left. "Quack. Quack. Stronger. Stronger." Luoya shouted excitedly. On the side, Qin Yi looked at the proficiency dancing on Luoya's panel, and the smile on his face became brighter. This talent is something. What he sees is not the jumping integer, but the jumping decimal point after the integer. That's right, with the proficiency level on the panel, he can see the decimal point after the integer. It's just that under normal circumstances, he didn't look at it. After all, looking at the decimal point gave him a headache. Chapter 36 The practical exam is officially over. Ranking. First place, Yi Sisi, 8,576 points. Second place, Qin Yi, 8,326 points. Third place, Yu Yong, 7,736 points. Fourth place, Wu Tianming, 7,312 points. Fifth place, Zhao Qinglei, 7,080 points. It's just a little short of that. Qin Yi sighed slightly and continued walking towards the beach of Yeshao Island. At this time, there is only half an hour left before the end of the college entrance examination. After this period of hard work, he finally fell a little behind. This half hour is not enough. Because with their killings in the past few days, there were not many high-level wild spirit beasts left in the periphery, so he wanted to catch up with the first place by relying on the points gained from killing wild spirit beasts on the way back, but it was already too late. If he wanted to catch up with Yi Sisi now, there was only one way, and that was to use the rewards he got to redeem points. Second will be second. Qin Yi shook his head, still feeling a little regretful. At the same time, he became more and more eager for spiritual beasts that he could ride. If he has Yi Sisi's Yimingju, then his points will most likely be higher than Yi Sisi's. There is no spiritual beast to walk with, so walking is too slow. As for taming the wild spiritual beasts here to use as a means of transportation, he thought about it, but that was all he thought about. Wild spirit beasts are still very dangerous. If you don't have strong strength, it's best not to do it. He is still more afraid of death. On the other side, Yi Sisi looked at the points ranking on the scoreboard and muttered, "This should not be robbed." Last night, when she saw Qin Yi was about to surpass her, she was suddenly startled. Then, as a Buddhist, she suddenly became diligent and began to concentrate on improving her points. It was only now that she slowed down a bit. After all, if she doesn't slow down, her contracted beast will run out of energy. While they were desperately trying to score points, Yu Yong, who was in third place, had already reached the beach. After chasing him for a while yesterday, he was completely defeated. At this point, whoever wants to chase you can chase him, but he won't chase him anyway. Landing point 2. Qin Yi arrived here alone at the last quarter of an hour. He looked at the candidates with different expressions around him and walked silently towards the temporary kebab shop not far away. Among this group of people, some were wiping their tears, some were chatting and laughing with their companions, some were silent, some were looking up at the sky in trance, and some, like Qin Yi, were buying food in the service area to fill their stomachs. Empty stomach. While Qin Yi was waiting for the boss to grill sausages, Yi Sisi came behind Qin Yi. "Hey, why are you here?" Yi Sisi was surprised. Qin Yi was stunned for a moment, then turned around and said, I was originally here. Are you intermediate? Yi Sisi asked. That's for sure. Qin Yi smiled. There's something wrong with you. Yi Sisi looked Qin Yi up and down, feeling more and more that he was a little different from before. Qin Yi looked at Yi Sisi, whose eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and said to himself, is this effect so powerful? Listening to Qin Yi's words, Yi Sisi suddenly realized, talent. I just awakened a decent talent. Qin Yi smiled and did not continue. Strong talent. Yi Sisi looked at Qin Yi deeply. If she hadn't wanted to come to eat grilled sausage, she wouldn't have seen Qin Yi. Here. Qin Yi took the 2 sausages handed over by the boss, turned around and handed one to Yi Sisi beside him. Thank you. Yi Sisi was not polite and took it directly into her hand and started eating it. While eating, she ordered 2 sticks from the boss. Do you think someone will sell the loot for points? Qin Yi said suddenly. Yi Sisi looked at him with a strange expression on her face and said, you don't want to change, do you? I do. Qin Yi nodded seriously. He really thought about this problem. After all, the points difference between them was not many. You really want to change? Yi Sisi was stunned. Then, she said nonchalantly, let's change it. I don't want to be the number 1. Number 1 is too high profile. Don't you want a reward? Qin Yi asked doubtfully. The reward for first place is still very good. Although he didn't know what the rewards would be for being the first this year, he had heard about the rewards for being the first in previous years. That reward is pretty good. No, my family is rich. Yi Sisi responded domineeringly. This reward is not that attractive to her. Then I have to change. Qin Yi said this when he saw Yi Sisi, so he wouldn't be polite. Wait. Yi Sisi quickly interrupted Qin Yi's operation. What's wrong? Qin Yi looked at Yi Sisi. Yi Sisi said, what kind of reward did you get? Don't give me what I need in exchange for points. Qin Yi was stunned for a moment, then asked, what do you want? There are treasures related to dark attributes. Any more? Does the Pirate King need a treasure to increase the sharpness of his claws? Need not. Then I want it. Okay. Qin Yi nodded. Any more? Let me think about it. Yi Sisi thought for 2 seconds, looked at Qin Yi, and said with a smile, how about, you tell me all the items you obtained. Okay. Qin Yi said calmly, show me what you got. No problem. Yi Sisi made an okay gesture. Immediately afterwards, Qin Yi waited for Yi Sisi sausages to be cooked, then took her to an uninhabited area and began to tell each other about their harvests. Not long after, Qin Yi converted 2 useless rewards into points and topped the standings with 8,866 points. Thank you. Qin Yi looked at Yi Sisi. Yi Sisi shook her head. After the college entrance examination, I'll come to your house to get it. Okay. Qin Yi said, if I'm not around, you can go directly to Sister Tang. Okay. Yi Sisi nodded slightly. Then, the 2 fell into silence again. Fortunately, the silence didn't last long this time, and a voice rang around along with the ringing of bells. Ding 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 ding. In 22-24, the practical examination in Yehai City officially ended. All candidates, please wait where you are. It's over. Qin Yi couldn't help but sigh in his heart when he heard the sound. It's over. Yi Sisi turned to look at Qin Yi. Which university are you going to? If the conditions are good, go to that one. Qin Yi smiled and said, if everything is similar, go to Summoning Spirit University. And you? Spirit Summoning University. Aren't other schools considering it? Don't consider it. Okay. A few minutes later, under the guidance of the staff, the 2 people who were chatting awkwardly boarded the giant ship coming from landing point 1. On the giant ship, Du Feng, who was looking around, saw Qin Yi walking not far away, and ran forward excitedly. Good guy, you are the first without saying a word. It's okay. Qin Yi glanced at Yi Sisi who was standing beside him, and continued to Du Feng, thanks to her, she let me go. After Qin Yi finished speaking, Yi Sisi said, I'm leaving first. Okay. Qin Yi nodded. Du Feng looked at Yi Sisi leaving and gave Qin Yi a thumbs up, awesome. Low-key, low-key. Qin Yi smiled slightly and walked forward chatting and laughing with Du Feng. P.S. I just created a fan group for this book on tomato. You can join it. I will tell you in there when I ask for leave. Also, don't panic, it's not even 100,000 words yet. Let me be lazy. Chapter 37 Comparison of Contracts Between the Two Major Schools. Qin by Animal Education Shop. A yellow taxi stopped in front of the store. Huang Hao walked out of the back seat of the taxi. He looked at the store in front of him, straightened his clothes, and walked straight to the door of the store. When he walked into Qin Bai's animal education store, he looked around. After not finding what he was looking for, he came to the cashier. Tang Yin, who was sitting in front of the cashier, glanced at him. When she saw that he didn't speak, she continued to play with her mobile phone. Seeing that Tang Yin ignored him, Huang Hao coughed twice in embarrassment and asked, Hello, are Qin Ye's parents at home? Is something wrong? Tang Yin put down his phone and looked up at Huang Hao. I am Huang Hao, the admissions teacher at Hualing University. Huang Hao took out his ID and handed it to Tang Yin. Tang Yin listened to Huang Hao's words and looked at the certificate in Huang Hao's hand, slightly stunned. The next moment, she stood up suddenly and exclaimed, Spirit Summoning University? Yes. Huang Hao smiled and nodded, putting away the certificate in his hand. Tang Yin observed Huang Hao carefully and saw that he didn't seem to be joking, so he quickly said, Wait a minute. With that said, she took out her mobile phone and dialed the number of the boss's wife. A few minutes later, Baiya walked in from the back door. Come to recruit my son? Baiya looked at Huang Hao, and an invisible breath slowly spread from her body to the surroundings. Huang Hao felt the sudden aura, his eyes widened suddenly, and he fell into shock. This is definitely not a master. This is a king. Huang Hao took a deep breath and couldn't help but swallow when he saw Baiya walking towards him step by step. Baiya put away her breath, looked at the dazed Huang Hao in front of her, and raised the corners of her mouth slightly. Where is my son? The purpose of emitting aura is to check the authenticity. Now it seems that he may be the admissions teacher of Summoning University. Huang Hao came to his senses and said truthfully, Congratulations, your son Qin Yi is the #1 scholar in Yehai City this year. First. Baiya was surprised. Yeah. Huang Hao nodded vigorously. Are you kidding? Baiya frowned slightly, she couldn't believe it. Huang Hao said quickly, I don't dare to joke with you. Follow me. Baiya turned around and walked towards the office not far away. Huang Hao immediately followed. When Baiya was leaving, she took out her mobile phone and dialed Qin Ming's number. A few minutes later, Qin Ming walked into the office and sat next to Baiya. This is the contract they gave Qin Yi. Baiya put the paper that Huang Hao had taken out not long ago in front of Qin Ming. Qin Ming glanced at it without even picking it up. He looked up at Huang Hao who was sitting over there and said, Isn't the A-level contract a bit low? Ahem, A-level is not low anymore. Huang Hao coughed twice and continued, Senior Qin Ming, you also know that less than 10 people get A-level contracts at Summoning Spirit University every year. Huang Hao looked at the silent Qin Ming and continued, Actually, the contract can be raised, but... Just what? Baiya asked. We need to know the effect of Qin Ye's current talent. Huang Hao looked at the two people in front of him carefully and continued, If the talent is good, we can give him an A+ or even an S-level contract. If the talent is not good, we won't lower the current contract level. Qin Ming shook his head, Let's wait until Yi comes back. We can't decide this. Of course, I'm here today to pay an early visit. Huang Hao laughed twice and stood up from his seat, Well. I'll leave first. Walk slowly. Qin Ming and Baiya stood up one after another. After they sent Huang Hao away, they walked into the office again. Damn it. My son actually got the first place in the exam. Baiya looked at Qin Ming in shock. After learning that her son got first place in the exam, she endured it till now, and after Huang Hao left, she finally let out the shock in her heart. To be honest, she really didn't expect that her son would be ranked first in the practical exam. This brat. Qin Ming scolded with a smile and sat on the sofa. It seems that little turtle is not simple. Bai Ye sighed softly and sat next to Qin Ming. They can probably guess Luo Ye's current strength. After all, they personally selected him. But just relying on Luo Ye, her son couldn't get the first place, so there must be Zhuge's reasons. They had seen Zhuge's strength before he evolved, but after his evolution, Qin Yi had never shown it in front of them, so they didn't know what Zhuge's strength was. If it's not simple, it's not simple. It's just this contract. Qin Ming picked up the contract on the coffee table and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. He is still very satisfied with this A-level contract. He was just satisfied, and he would not show it in front of Huang Hao. Bai Ye looked at Qin Ming, who was looking at the contract, and said, "This contract is fine as long as the talent is not exposed." "Yes, it's better than what I did back then." Qin Ming took a brief look at it and put down the contract. "My A-level contract back then was for spiritual beasts with initial potential of low-level elites. Trash, I have an S-level contract." Bai Ye showed a proud look. Back then, her S-level contract was for spiritual beasts with an initial potential of medium elite, but now this A-level contract is for spiritual beasts with an initial potential of medium elite. It can be seen from the contract that the resources currently possessed by Soul Calling University are not comparable to those before. Of course, in addition to being able to choose a spirit beast, the content of the contract will also provide various resources, but in their opinion, these resources are not as important as the spirit beast. After all, the spiritual beast is the root of the spiritual summoner. While they were reminiscing about the past, the admissions teacher from Yulong University also came to visit them. Qin Ming and Bai Ye looked at each other, walked out of the door calmly, and brought in the admissions teacher of Yulong University. Then, after a conversation with the admissions teacher at Yulong University, they got the contract they offered Qin Yi, a B+ level contract. B+? Qin Ming frowned slightly. B+ is already the highest treatment we can give. The man responded with a smile, "I can definitely say that the contracts offered by Summoning Spirit University and Void University are definitely not as high as ours." Qin Ming put down the contract in his hand, glanced at Bai Ye, and said to the man, "Thank you, but we still need Qin Yi to come back before we can make a decision." "It doesn't matter, this is my contact information. If you make a decision, you can call me at this number." The man smiled and shook his head, leaving his contact information. Then, he chatted with Qin Ye's parents for a few more words before leaving Qin Bai's animal breeding shop. Qin Ming returned to the office and looked at Bai Ye sitting there with a strange expression. Bai Ye couldn't help but smile and said, "It seems that the sincerity given by Soul Calling University just now is quite sufficient. Comparatively, it's quite good." Qin Ming picked up the contract from Yulong University and continued to Bai Ye, "This is the first time I have seen this B+ contract. Excluding spiritual beasts, overall, the resources obtained are only 1/5 less than the A-level contract. As for the spirit beasts, the B+ level contract has the right to select in advance spirit beasts with low elite initial potential, or choose common attribute spirit beasts with medium elite initial potential from the remaining ones. The common attributes here are attributes common in life, such as general attributes, fire attributes, water attributes. This contract is okay. It's really not bad. It's just a pity. Yes, it's a pity. It's a pity that the contract at Soul Calling University is better." Chapter 38 Zhongyan comes to visit. "Mom. I'm back." Before Qin Yi entered Qin Bai's animal education shop, his voice had already reached Bai Ye's ears, who were sitting in the office. Bai Ye listened to the familiar voice and walked towards the door with a smile on her face. Qin Yi walked into the store, looked at his mother who was walking out of the office not far away, and shouted with a grin, "Mom, your son is doing great this time." Bai Ye, who already knew everything, smiled and asked, "Oh. How awesome is it?" "This." Qin Yi raised a finger. "First." Bai Ye exclaimed. Hee hee. Qingyi smiled, then scratched his head in embarrassment. Actually, logically speaking, he should be second. Baya didn't listen to what he said next, but asked again, really number one? Number one is number one, but this number one was given by Yi Sisi. Qingyi recounted what happened between him and Yi Sisi under Baya's increasingly confused eyes. That's it. Baya nodded slightly, looked at her son and continued, I understand. What do you know? Qingyi was startled. She has given you the first place, so naturally your mother will show off. Baya continued with a smile, in a few days, we will treat Yi Sisi's family to a meal. Well, that's it. Baya said, feeling more and more that this was a good idea. Have a meal, meet the parents of both parties, and cultivate a relationship. Very nice. This. Qingyi fell silent immediately. Huh. Baya looked at the silent Qingyi and laughed twice. Okay, I won't hide anything from you, come with me. Huh. Qingyi looked confused, feeling something was wrong. Since you took the exam, admissions teachers from more than 10 universities have come here. Baya explained as she walked. Ah. Qingyi exclaimed. He obviously didn't expect them to come to his door. You already ranked first in the exam. It's not normal for them to come. Baya said calmly. It seems so. Qingyi scratched his head. Then, he asked excitedly, Mom, what contract did they give? Are there any from the 3 top universities? Yes, they are all here. Baya walked into the office, pointed to a pile of white papers on the coffee table, and said to Qingyi, they are all over there, go and see for yourself. When Qingyi saw this, he immediately walked over, sat down on the sofa, picked up a contract and started reading. F***K. A-level contract. Qingyi shouted in shock. He still knew a little about the university contract, and it was because he knew a little about it that he was shocked. But he was shocked for a moment and then regained his composure. Because he thought about it, he is the number one in actual combat in Yehai City. Isn't it normal to open an A-level contract to the number one in actual combat? Baya, who was about to respond to her son, saw that his son quickly regained his composure and sat silently opposite him. While her son was looking at the contracts of various schools, she took out her mobile phone and dialed Qin Ming's number. Soon after, Qingyi read all the contracts and said to Baya, Mom, these contracts are all the same. The contents of the contracts look similar, but in fact there are some differences. Baya explained, the difference lies in the resources of each school. For example, in Minghai University's A-level contract, Minghai University can indeed give you spiritual beasts with medium elite initial potential, but most of the spiritual beasts they can give you are water-attributed spiritual beasts. They also have spiritual beasts with other attributes, but they are very few. Their strength is water-attributed spiritual beasts. If you want to contract a water-attributed spiritual beast, you can choose them. The water attribute beasts they can choose are powerful and rich in variety. They are far beyond what the 3 top universities can compare with. Probably, they have 30 different water attribute beasts for you to choose from, and the 3 top universities may only have 15. I understand. Qingyi nodded, I have the Pirate King, so I won't choose Minghai University. With his vast talent, he would not contract a second water-attributed spiritual beast. Of course, except for the legendary fantasy beasts. The power of the phantom beast cannot be compared to that of ordinary spiritual beasts. Of course, if a water attribute fantasy beast really gave him a contract, then he would probably try his best to change Luoya's attribute. It is difficult to change attributes, but no matter how difficult it is still easier than contracting a fantasy beast. Don't think about it. Your talent is only suitable for going to the 3 top universities. Only the 3 top universities have many spiritual beasts with different attributes for you to choose from. The 3 top universities have a balanced development and have spiritual beasts of all attributes, while most of the top 10 higher universities are specialized in the development of 1 attribute and 2 attributes. For example, Minghai University studies water attributes, Ice and Fire University studies ice and fire attributes, Dark Spirit University studies dark attributes. Mom, I'm not stupid, I know. Qin Yi glanced at his mother speechlessly. He still knows this. While they were discussing, Qin Ming knocked on the door and walked in with an old man. Bai Ye looked at the old man standing next to Qin Ming, stood up instantly, and said in surprise, "Mr. Zhong. King Yu Tian." Mr. Zhong nodded with a smile. "Mr. Zhong, don't be like this, just call me Xiaoya." After Bai Ye finished speaking, he said to Qin Yi who stood up aside, "Call me Mr. Zhong." "Hello, Mr. Zhong." Qin Yi called out obediently and continued to look at Mr. Zhong curiously. After Qin Ming asked Mr. Zhong to sit down, he said to Qin Yi, "Mr. Zhong is the admissions teacher from Hualing University who came to Yehai City this time. He is here to see you. Isn't Spirit Summoning University already?" Qin Yi pointed to the paper on the coffee table. "I was afraid that you would be robbed, so I asked him to come over first," Mr. Zhong said. "Oh." Qin Yi nodded. Immediately afterwards, Qin Ming, Bai Ye and Zhongnian chatted for a while before getting to the main topic. Zhongnian looked at Qin Yi and said, "For the talent you have shown in actual combat, we can give you an A-level contract, but if you want to raise the A-level contract to a higher level, we need to know something about you." "Is there anything about talent?" Qin Yi asked. "Yes." Zhongnian nodded with a smile. "Do I need to talk about all the talents?" "No need." Zhongnian shook his head, "You can name as many as you want, but the talent you name will determine what level of contract we will give you." "What other contracts are there for A-level and above?" Qin Yi asked curiously, "Can you tell me about the contents of the A-level and above contracts?" A+ level contracts and S-level contracts are available for A-level and above. If you want an S-level contract, we must know all your talents. Zhongnian looked at Qin Yi's solemn expression and continued, A+ level contracts don't have this require. When Qin Yi heard this, his solemn expression disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Can you tell me what the difference is?" "I won't talk about anything else, let me just talk about spirit beasts." Zhongnian said, "In terms of spirit beasts, students who sign an A+ level contract will have the opportunity to select in advance spirit beasts with the potential to be mid-level elites. S-class are the spiritual beasts of high-level elites. Higher elite." Qin Yi licked his lips subconsciously. This is a good thing. It's a pity that good things are good things, but he can't get them. It is impossible for him to sign this S-level contract. But he can still sign this A+ contract. They just don't know whether the effects of his talent are appreciated or not. We at Soul Summoning University still have a few spiritual beasts with initial potential as high-level elites. Zhongnian picked up the freshly brewed tea on the coffee table and took a sip. As soon as he finished drinking, Qin Yi said, "I can tell you 2 talents." "Yeah." Zhongnian's eyes lit up slightly and he showed a kind smile. "Sun Luo Wanxiang, the effect is. Son of Nature, the effect is." Qin Yi quickly said the effects of his 2 talents. Sure enough, he has a talent for intimacy. Zhongnian was secretly happy. But then, he looked at Qin Yi in shock and said, "How close are all the elements?" "It should be all elements," Qin Yi said. "Very good." Zhongnian shouted excitedly, his voice startling Qin Yi's family sitting opposite. I'm sorry, I'm a little too excited." Zhongnian explained, "Your son's talent is extremely effective. Generally, talents that include the intimacy of all elements are very average and not as powerful as individual bonuses. But Qin Yi's talent is different. The effect of Qin Yi's talent is not to say that it is heaven-defying, but it cannot be said to be weak. Because of its effect, he could see it from the earth turtles and pirate ducks that Qin Yi cultivated. In a short period of time, you can cultivate earth turtles and pirate ducks with several perfect proficiency skills. No matter how weak this effect is, it will not be too weak. Chapter 39 Choice. Are you intermediate? Zhongnian suddenly realized that the young man in front of him was already an intermediate spiritual summoner. However, the level of the contracted beast of the boy in front of me. When Zhongnian thought of this, a look of shock gradually appeared on his face. Well, the effect of my growth-type talent is not bad. Qin Yi also realized at this time that he had unknowingly exposed the effects of his talent. At the same time, Qin Ming also said, "Mr. Zhong, please don't tell anyone about the effects of Xiaoya's talent. When Zhongnian heard this, his shock instantly dissipated. He looked at the serious expressions of Qin Ming and Bai Ye, and quickly nodded in response, I understand. I understand. As he spoke, the shock in his heart did not diminish at all. The effect of this talent is really a bit unbelievable. He calmed down and continued, your talent is completely worthy of an A+ level contract, or even an S level contract. Qin Yi nodded slightly but said nothing. He doesn't want an S-class contract. There is no problem with the A+ level contract, but under normal circumstances, I need to apply to my superiors for the A+ level contract. When Qin Ye's family heard this, they all looked at Zhongnian. To say this is obviously to use abnormal means. I have the right to directly make someone sign an A+ level contract. Zhongnian said, taking out a piece of paper that was several times larger than the white paper from the spirit summoning space, put it on the coffee table, and pushed it towards Qin Yi. This is the A+ level contract of our Soul Calling University. If you sign it, it means that you are a member of our Soul Calling University. Qin Yi glanced at the contract in front of him, looked up at Zhongnian, looked at the kind smile on Zhongnian's face, and then looked down at the contract in front of him again. A few minutes later, after reading the contract, Qin Yi asked Zhongnian, do you have a pen? Yes. Zhongnian took out a pen and a small box and placed them in front of Qin Yi. You need to take a fingerprint. Use your thumb. Okay. Qin Yi signed his name decisively and pressed his fingerprint on his name. Zhongnian watched Qin Yi press his fingerprints on the contract and he breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Qin Yi and said, the start of the term at Summoning University is July 1st. You just need to report to the school on July 1st. Okay. Qin Yi pushed the signed contract to Zhongnian's side. Qin Yi watched Zhongnian put away the contract and asked impatiently, Mr. Zhong, when can the spirit beast be chosen? You can choose now. Is it okay now? Qin Yi was startled. He really didn't expect that he could choose now. He thought he would have to wait a few days. Yes. Zhongnian nodded, signing an A-level contract requires you to choose it after school starts, but you don't need to. You only need to wait for me to upload your information before you can choose. A+ grade contracts are on a first-come, first-served basis. Whoever signs first can choose immediately. Qin Ming and Bai Ye looked at each other and said together, I'm troublesome, Mr. Zhong. It's a small matter, wait for me. Zhongnian took out the contract he had just put away and a white tablet, and started working directly. Not long after, the phone rang, and Zhongnian answered the call. Qin Yi understood clearly when he heard Zhongnian saying some words that meant, no regrets, and, sure. This was exactly what he thought. He gave him his only authority, and he was bound to him. It probably means that when one is prosperous, both prosper, and when one suffers, both suffer losses. After Zhongnian connected the phone and operated on the tablet again, he handed the tablet to Qin Yi, okay, you choose. Mr. Zhong, thank you very much. Qin Yi thanked him in a serious tone. Zhongnian smiled and shook his head, you can choose 3 spirit beasts on the tablet. I will bring these 3 spirit beasts over in a few days for you to choose. Okay. Qin Yi looked down at the tablet. He looked at the 6 general attribute spirit beasts on the tablet interface and looked to the left. Then, he saw various attribute options. Generally, metal, wood, water, fire, earth. Seeing this, he looked at the spirit beast with relief. Pond-tail rabbit, gray bear, giant guard. Zhongnian looked at Qin Yi who was sliding the screen and suggested, you can first look at the rare attribute spirit beasts, such as light and dark attribute spirit beasts, and then look at the common attribute spirit beasts. Okay. Qin Yi was not in a hurry, but after reading all the spiritual beasts with general attributes, he chose the wind attribute. There are 3 pages of general attributes, with a total of 15 spirit beasts. Qin Yi took a look at the wind attribute, 2 pages. Qin Yi finished scanning the first page and scrolled to the second page. There were only 2 on the second page. In other words, there are only 8 wind-attributed spiritual beasts with medium elite initial potential in Soul Calling University. Of course, he estimated there were more than that, but there were only so many he could choose from. After looking at the wind attribute spirit beasts, he continued to look at the other attribute spirit beasts. Just like that, while he was watching, there was a sudden knock on the door. "Come in," Baya said. Tang Yin opened the door, looked at Baya and the others and said, "Boss, here comes another admissions teacher from Ice and Fire University. I'll go." Qin Ming stood up and walked towards the door. After a while, Qin Ming came in with a man. The man looked at Zhongnian, who was sitting over there and looking at him, and subconsciously said, "Damn. Why are you here?" "Huh, I'm sorry, you're a step late." Zhongnian looked at Zhang Meng, feeling very happy in his heart. "Hey." Zhang Meng sighed softly, looked at Qin Yi with some reluctance, then shook his head, chatted with Qin Ming and the others for a few words, and left the office. After the interlude, Qin Yi continued to look at the spiritual beasts of various attributes on the tablet. Qin Yi looked at the familiar duck on the tablet and turned to Qin Ming, "Dad, is there a sailor duck with medium elite potential?" "Yes." Qin Ming smiled and said, "Don't worry, the pirate king I chose for you is definitely the strongest and best sailor duck in that batch." "Of course I know this." Qin Yi naturally knew this. The power of his Luoya is no joke. Potential doesn't mean everything. Zhongnian followed, "In my opinion, potential is important, but talent is equally important. If there is a difference in potential by one level, if there is a spirit beast with high potential but poor talent, and a spirit beast with low potential but good talent, then I will definitely choose the spirit beast with low potential but good talent." Yeah. Qin Yi naturally understood this. His Zhuge family is a low-potential spiritual beast with incredible talent. "Can I choose a low-level elite spirit beast?" Qin Yi asked casually after having said this. "Of course you can." Zhongnian smiled and said, "After you finish reading the medium-potential spirit beasts, I will help you adjust the low-potential spirit beasts." "Thanks." Zhongnian smiled and shook his head. Tens of minutes later, Qin Yi, who had chosen 3 spiritual beasts, handed the tablet to Zhongnian. "Mr. Zhong, I've made my choice. Don't look at it anymore." Zhongnian did not take the tablet. "No, I've already made my choice." Qin Yi shook his head. Seeing this, Zhongnian took the tablet from Qin Ye's hand. Chapter 40. The written test is over. Zhongnian looked at the 3 spiritual beasts Qin Yi had chosen, and his eyebrows furrowed slightly. General attribute spiritual beast guard dog. The light attribute spirit beast, the aura pony. Undead attribute beast skeleton horse. There is nothing wrong with the aura horse and the skeleton horse, they are just guard dogs. If he remembered correctly, this guard dog should be that guard dog. Thinking about it, he headed towards the guard dog point. Soon, he saw the talent of the guard dog, Kenshin. Sure enough, it's this guard dog. Zhongnian thought to himself. Qin Yi looked at the frowning Zhongnian and asked in confusion, "Mr. Zhong, what's wrong? Did you choose a spiritual beast that you can't choose?" Zhongnian shook his head, pointed at the guard dog and said to Qin Yi, "This guard dog is very strong, but we have not yet discovered an evolutionary type related to its talent." "What talent?" Baya asked curiously. When Qin Yi chose the spiritual beast, they consciously did not watch. So she still doesn't know which 3 spiritual beasts her son chose. This guard dog is very special. It is special because its talent is related to the sword. Zhongnian said, "And we currently only have the evolution paths of the spear dog, bow dog, and axe dog, and there is no evolution related to the sword." "Way. That's it." Baya muttered and turned to look at Qin Yi. "How about another one?" Qin Yi was silent for a moment and then said, "I won't change it." With his destiny talent, he is not afraid of this. As for why you should choose a guard dog, of course it is handsome, and handsome can withstand all obstacles. Although he didn't know why this talent was related to swords and was holding a long knife, it didn't stop him from choosing it. Seeing that Qin Yi didn't want to exchange, Zhongnian didn't say anything. Instead, he put away the tablet and asked, "You have the right to redeem yellow quality items once. Do you want to redeem now?" In addition to choosing a spiritual beast for an A+ level contract, you can also get a yellow quality item for free. Of course, A-level contracts can also get a yellow quality item for free. Therefore, comparing the two contracts, there is actually not much difference. No exchange. Qin Yi quickly shook his head and refused. Upon seeing this, Zhongnian chatted with Qin Yi and the others for a while, then took a blue taxi and left Qin Bai's animal education shop under the eyes of Qin Yi and the others. "Son, it's okay. He's promising." Baiya patted Qin Yi's shoulder hard. Hiss. Qin Yi took a deep breath and quickly walked aside. "Mom, it hurts." "Huh." Baiya laughed. "Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you tonight." "Mom, cook more. I told Zhuge, Pirate King and the others a few days ago to let you cook a big meal." "No problem." June 6th. Yehai No. 1 High School. Qin Yi felt a headache as he looked at the various multiple-choice questions on the test paper. Which of the following is not the evolved form of the gray wolf? A. Big Bad Wolf. B. Storm Wolf. C. Flame Wolf. D. Powerful Wolf. Fortunately, I saw it a few days ago, otherwise I wouldn't have known which one it was. Qin Yi silently wrote a B. Then, he looked towards the next question. Which of the following is the evolved form of the gray wolf? A. Storm Wolf. B. Ice Flame Wolf. C. Ghost Wolf. D. Light and Shadow Wolf. After Qin Yi read the question, the silence was deafening. What the hell? Qin Yi complained in his mind and immediately wrote a B. After the first scientific examination, Qin Yi asked Du Feng, "What is the evolutionary form of the gray wolf?" Du Feng, Ghost Wolf. Qin Yi was speechless. What does this ghost wolf have to do with the gray wolf? The ghost wolf is the evolved form of the gray wolf after eating the ghost grass. Du Feng continued, "There is only this solution at the moment, but I feel that anyone can evolve into a ghost wolf as long as their attributes are ghostly." Hey! Qin Yi sighed softly. He didn't want to ask anymore. 3 p.m. After several hours of suffering, Qin Yi was relieved. He walked out of the classroom, breathed in the fresh air outside the door, and couldn't help but said, "It's finally over." Then, he carried his black satchel and went home. In addition to themselves, there are also candidates from other schools for the college entrance examination written test today, so they can only go home after today's test. Baiya heard the door knock, looked at her son who was walking out of the kitchen, and asked, "How was the test?" "That's it." Qin Yi felt guilty. "I understand." Baiya rolled her eyes at him and didn't say much. She naturally understands her son's grades. Hee hee. Qin Yi smiled sheepishly. If you can't reach the upper reaches, the middle reaches will be fine. Medium is enough. Baiya walked out of the kitchen. As long as you get in the middle, Yi Sisi won't catch up with you. It would be great if you could catch up with me. What Qin Yi wants is to be first in actual combat, not first in Yehai City's college entrance examination. Then why didn't you pass the test? Baiya asked. That's right. Qin Yi exclaimed, I can pass the test. Oh, why didn't I think of this level? Qin Yi shouted. At this moment, he felt extremely regretful. Baiya rolled her eyes. She didn't want to talk anymore. Put the bag down and ask your dad to come over for dinner. Okay. The next day. Yehai No. 1 High School. Grade 3, 4, class. Yi Qiu looked at the students sitting in front of him and felt a sense of emotion in his heart. Immediately after, she talked about the future, after graduation, and about college life, and then she talked about the practical exam. This time, our class's results in the practical exam of the college entrance examination were very good. Yi Qiu looked at Qin Yi who was sitting there, and the corners of his mouth could not help but raise slightly. This time, our classmate Qin Yi won the first place in the practical exam. Let's congratulate Qin Yi together. Qin Yi's face couldn't help but turn rosy as he listened to the applause around him. He was embarrassed. After Yi Qiu finished talking about Qin Yi and praised a few students with better grades, he got to the point. As for your college entrance examination actual points, you can redeem them on the official website at 8 o'clock tonight. I will post the URL in our class group now. You can redeem it at home. Yi Qiu picked up the mobile phone on the podium and sent a URL to the class group. You can redeem it on the website, and you can also redeem it on the mobile software. The mobile software can be downloaded from the website I sent you. Anyway, come whatever is convenient for you. The exchanged items will usually arrive within a week. After Yi Qiu finished talking about how to use points to redeem items, he also gave some of his own redemption suggestions. After saying this, she remained silent for a long time and said, "Qingyi, Du Fang, the one whose name was called will stay, and the others will be dismissed." Soon after, Qingyi looked at the three people except Du Fang and suddenly realized. Mr. Yi retained all the top 100 people in the practical exam. You are listening to it in Eugene Light Novels.